We ask your blessing upon our community and all who live and work here. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
The republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll get started this morning, and I believe CEO Martinez is going to present first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kyria Martinez, County Executive Officer, Kings County Administration. Before you this morning is the employee of the first quarter of 2026. The board approved the formation of the Employee Recognition Committee in 1990. Every quarter, employees are nominated based on their outstanding performance and achievement in various departments. The nominations are reviewed and voted upon by the committee, and the committee requests the board recognize and award the employee of the quarter with the presentation and certificate and the check in the amount approved by the board. The employee will be placed in nomination for Employee of the Year. So the employee of the quarter for this quarter is Rob Knutson. Rob joined the Kings County Fire Department in May 2000 as accountant auditor. In September of 2005, he was promoted to senior accountant auditor, serving in this role until August of 2012 when he was promoted to assistant director of finance. What is especially notable and worth noting is that Mr. Knutson has remained in the Department of Finance throughout his 26-year tenure at the county. This uniquely positions him to develop core institutional knowledge and rich experiences that support the county and all departments throughout. One example of Mr. Knutson's dedication in his role is the preparation of the county budget. Mr. Knutson supports the development of the county's budget year after year by supporting the financial system for the entire county. Without Mr. Knutson's expertise and institutional knowledge, the county's finance system would likely fall behind schedule. He goes far beyond and expectations of his role, often sacrifices his own time to ensure others receive the help and guidance they need. Mr. Knutson has been known to stay late, work over holidays, and take extra time. That is true because I always see Rob Knutson's car here on the weekends. And he always takes his time to walk through a complex issue simply because he wants to make you feel supported and you understand the process. This is very, very true of Mr. Knutson. His willingness to put others first reflects a deep sense of compassion and commitments to service that cannot be taught. In addition to Mr. Knutson's exceptional service, he also demonstrates remarkable character and generosity towards others. Departments frequently comment on how Mr. Knutson answers questions regarding budget action transfer forms, finance enterprise, and more. What truly sets Mr. Knutson apart is not only his willingness to help, but how consistently he treats everyone with kindness, patience, respect, and genuine care. He has supported multiple departments and has repeatedly assisted county special districts through meetings, phone calls to address their concern. Despite his busy schedule, he will always make time. Mr. Knutson is well respected by his peers and colleagues across the county, and his nomination by another department is a testament of his exceptional support across various teams. Mr. Knutson embodies a spirit of public service through his quality of work and kindness and makes him a deserving recipient of the award. For all these reasons, Mr. Knutson has been chosen employee of the first quarter of 2026. And at this time, I'd like to invite Eric, who has a few words to say about Rob.
Good morning, Eric.
Morning. I wrote down a few words. I told Rob I wouldn't embarrass him, so I'll just stick to what I wrote. But no, so this is probably the second one for our department where another department separate from finance is nominated. My department, which doesn't happen very often as far as I know. So back to my comments. I would like to thank the administrative analysts for nominating Rob for this honor. As a department head, I can't express how proud I feel when employees outside my own department recognize one of my staff. Selfishly, I only wish I could take credit for Rob, but he's been like this since I first met him 15 years ago when I walked in as a brand new auditor for the County of Kings. Rob, everything Kyria said, Rob does that and then some. I work on the weekends sometimes and see him online, and it's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be on vacation. And, Rob had an injury over the last year where he was ready after surgery to come in the next day. And it's like, hold on, chill out. HR and risk are going to get mad if we have an employee hurt that comes in and can't move his thumb. So anyways, Rob does go above and beyond. And, whenever I meet someone and talk about Rob, the first thing they say is Rob is the nicest person in the world. So I appreciate that. It goes a long way. Keep up the good work. He doesn't like attention, which is why he's hiding behind me. But thank you, Rob, for everything you do.
Rob, you want to say a couple words? You want to come out and say a couple words?
I just want to thank you. Thank you for the recognition. I'm humbled and honored, of course. You know, it only took 26 years, but I got it, you know, so that's fine. You know, I appreciate the recognition. So thank you all.
So I just want to say a couple things about Rob. So I went to school with Rob, or Robbie is, I know you. And Rob has always been the same. He's one of those guys that he always does the right thing behind the scenes. When no one's looking, he's always been kind. He's always been good to people, and he's always worked hard. So humility is one of the best features. I love it. So every time I see you, you're always positive and friendly, and so just thank you. It couldn't happen to a nicer person. Good stuff.
Just to receive the presentation of the employee of the first quarter.
Thank you.
Okay, Curia, you're back up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kyria Martinez, County Executive Officer. So before you this morning we have the presentation of 2025 Employee of the Year. The board approved an update in April of last year to update the Kings County Employee Recognition Program, formally establishing the Annual Employee of the Year Award. This award is selected from the 4 Employee of the Quarter. So like Rob, he'll be thrown in next year as potentially to win the Employee of the Year. And they're recognized through previous calendar years on exceptional county service, teamwork, and alignment with organizational values. This is the second ever Employee of the Year. So the Employee of the Year knows of his award, but this is the formal recognition. We had announced the winner at the annual employee barbecue, and it is Deputy James, Andrew James. Deputy James joined the Kings County Sheriff's Office in 2022 as Attentions Deputy. Deputy James has shown outstanding dedication, innovative, and hands-on contribution to the jail's program unit. Since joining the unit, Deputy James has consistently demonstrated a commitment to enhancing inmate rehabilitation, promoting facility improvement, and fostering a culture of personal responsibility and growth among the inmate population. Deputy James was previously recognized as the Employee of the Fourth Quarter in 2025 for his role in the design and construction of the jail facility chicken coop project. This was developed to teach vocational skills and promote responsibility among the inmate workers, which required coordination, planning, and physical labor. Deputy James was directly involved at every stage of the project, from the blueprint development, construction, and safety oversight, and his leadership ensured that the project was completed efficiently and adhered to safety standards and was built with long-term sustainability in mind. In addition to his work on the chicken coop, Deputy James took the initiative in overseeing the beautification and maintenance of the jail facility exterior grounds. Recognizing an opportunity to improve the facility's environment and provide additional responsibilities to the inmate workers, he assumed responsibility for coordinating and supervising outdoor cleaning operations. His efforts have significantly improved the overall appearance of the jail facility while offering inmates constructive, skill-building work assignments. Deputy James' work has a meaningful impact not only to the jail but across the surrounding community by supporting skill building, instilling responsibility, and facilitating positive engagement between incarcerated individuals and the public. He is actively contributing to a safer, stronger community and reinforcing the core values of the Sheriff's Office. Deputy James exemplifies professionalism, leadership, and strong work ethic. His initiative, problem-solving abilities, and dedication to working effectively with others has made a lasting impact in the program's unit. His commitment to service reflects the highest standards of excellence that make him stand out as a deserving recipient of this award. For all those reasons, Deputy James was chosen as the 2025 Kings County Employee of the Year. At this time, we ask the board to present the presentation, which Sheriff Dave Putnam has here today. But I also want to take a moment because actually there's 3 recognitions that will also be presented. Senator Schiff's staff is here, Congresswoman Valadeo's staff is here, and Assemblywoman Ali Macedo staff is here to present them with certificates as well. So I would like to invite them to come up and present them the certificates, and then we could take a board photo after.
Thank you for that. Just real quick, I know Andrew's getting tired of this recognition. 3rd time here in front of the board, but he truly deserves this honor and award. The narrative that was so eloquently read by CEO was written by his direct supervisor, so it's a really good reflection of his work product, and he really deserves this award. So congratulations, Andrew, and maybe the last time we have to drag you in front of this board. He said he'd share some of the vacation hours he gets with potentially with his boss.
Can we drag you up today?
Again, thank you. I'm not great with compliments, I guess, and this is obviously the ultimate compliment. I kind of came up a little old school. I got told when I did something wrong, and sometimes you were told you did something good, but that kind of builds different types of people like me, where I just show up and I'm here to do what I'm supposed to do, and you don't have to tell me good job or nothing, but this is the best. So cool. Appreciate it.
Well, I just want to say thank you. And we always forget that you're also a snake wrangler, right?
Yeah.
You help with that part. But what I like most of all is, not in my department is not in your vocabulary. And I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
All right.
Who's going
From
to?
Ali Macedo's office, do you want to say a few words?
Sounds good. Hi, my name is Rosalinda Alexandra. I represent Assemblywoman Alexandra Macedo of the 33rd District, and here to present a certificate from the California Legislature to Deputy Andrew James in recognition of your exceptional dedication, professionalism, integrity, unwavering service to the citizens of Kings County. Your commitment to excellence, leadership, and public safety exemplifies the highest standards of public service and has made a lasting impact on the community and your fellow employees. So congratulations to you, Kings County Employee of the Year. Hope you enjoy that parking spot on this day in Kings County, California.
I don't have too much to add on top of all the nice words everyone has already said. So just thank you on behalf of Congressman David Valdeo's office for your commitment and dedication to serving the community.
Similar remarks. I'm Sammy from Senator Adam Schiff's office. And again, he wants to thank you for your service and congratulate you on your award.
Oh, I'll get it from you if you don't mind. I'm sure you think.
I'll text it to you.
Yeah, just airdrop it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, next up, item C. Let's see, who's going to present? Wendy, are you? Oh,
I got you.
yeah.
Yes.
Hello, Chris.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chairman Robinson and members of the board.
We're tag teaming it this
morning.
We will be. I'll start off and just kind of introduce myself. My name is Christopher Nars, Deputy Director of the HSA Adults Division. I'm joined today by Bobby Wardson of the Kings County Commission on Aging and our District Attorney, Ms. Sarah Hacker, as we ask the board to consider adopting a resolution proclaiming June 2026 as Elder and Dependent Adult Abuse Awareness Month. Next slide. Awareness for elder and dependent abuse is important as it's widely believed to be underreported. While the abuse is experienced by 1 out of 10 adults, the truth is that much of it can be prevented. Knowing the signs of what abuse may look like can help in early intervention and successful outcomes. Next slide.
In 2025, the local ombudsman office reported 79 cases involving allegations of abuse in institutional settings, while APS investigated 599 cases of abuse and neglect, and APS, of course, is of Adult Protective Services. The Kings County District Attorney's Office received 16 referrals and filed 9 related cases. Next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Bobby Wharton to talk more about the local ombudsman's office and what she's been seeing.
Good morning. The Ombudsman Program serves as an independent advocate for residents living in the long-term care facility. During Elder Abuse Awareness Month, we want to remind our community that residents still have rights, and our role is to ensure those rights, safety, and dignity are protected. Who we serve residents in skilled nursing homes, residential care facilities, who may be vulnerable to abuse, neglect, and their rights being violated. The Ombudsman Program, what we do is we investigate complaints of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. We conduct regular visits to long-term care facilities. The state say we do quarterly, but we do monthly. We educate residents and family about residents' rights. We advocate for quality care and safe living conditions. We work with the state and local agencies to ensure accountability. Why this work matters. Many residents are unable or they are afraid. You'll be surprised of how many people, what they go through, and they will not tell. Or they'll call us and say, the administrator is out today, can you come? Ombudsmen provide a confidential, independent voice. Protecting residents require community awareness and action. Every resident deserves to live with dignity, respect, and safety. Next slide, please. That is actually one of the facilities that was closed this year. A type A citation is issued when the deficiency poses a potential risk of health, safety, or personal rights, but not an immediately one. I'm sorry, I messed up on that one. So, so a type A citation is issued when the deficiency possesses an immediately risk to health and safety and personal rights of the residents. A type B is when it's a potential risk. Next slide. So some of these places, the small boarding care homes, they share rooms. They pay anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000, and this is what the living arrangement to some of these people were. It was a small bed. It was 44 beds. I think it had about 27 people there. Skilled nursing in California average anywhere from $8,500 to $12,167 per month. It depends on what they need, the care that they need. And some of them even charges them if they don't want to go to the dining room to get their meals.
You're saying that was in Kings County?
No, that was not in Kings County. That was in Porterville. Yes. And they wind up losing their license. They turned them in, but they were going to lose them. But it took forever to get it done. It was years and years that license was unsubstantiated and everything, but finally it got closed with help from Tulare County. And it was on the news, so I'm sure everyone has seen it on the news. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the APS side before turning it over to Ms. D.A. Hacker. Within our APS, our most reported abuse type is self-neglect. Self-neglect can be defined as a sudden or recent inability to meet essential physical, psychological, or social needs, which threaten health, safety, and well-being. Unlike other forms of abuse, self-neglect does not involve a perpetrator. Rather, it occurs when a person is unable to adequately care for themselves. Next slide, please. On this slide, we see some of the common indicators of self-neglect that may be observed by family members, neighbors, or service providers. One of the first signs is self-isolation, where the individual gradually withdraws from contact with friends, family, or others who would normally notice changes in their well-being. We may also see a decline in a person's ability to maintain their health and personal care. This can be observed through significant weight loss, poor nutrition, missed medications and medical treatments, or noticeable changes in hygiene and appearance. Another area of concern is the individual's ability to maintain their home and manage daily responsibilities. This can be observed with living conditions becoming unsafe due to hoarding, lacking basic needs like heat or electricity, or having unpaid bills. Next slide, please. Our second most reported allegation in APS is financial exploitation, which can be defined as the misuse of mishandling or exploitation of property, possessions, or assets without consent under false pretenses, coercion, undue influence, or manipulation. Next slide, please. Financial exploitation often becomes apparent through unusual or suspicious financial activity. Warning signs may include large unexplained withdrawals, missing checks or bank statements, unauthorized purchases, or new individuals being added to financial accounts. We also pay close attention to the sudden changes in legal and or financial documents, such as powers of attorney, wills, bank accounts, property ownership, as these can sometimes indicate undue influence or exploitation. Next slide. All right. One trend that continues to stand out is that most commonly suspected perpetrator of abuse is a family member. In 2025, family members were identified in over half of our local referrals and nearly half of referrals statewide. Within those family relationships, adult children were most frequently suspected perpetrators. These findings highlight the importance of recognizing that abuse often occurs with trusted relationships and can be difficult for victims and families to identify and report. At this time, I would like to welcome our DA, Ms. Sarah Hacker, to speak to what she's seeing in her office.
Yes, and I want to reach out to you. And in the past, this board has always been so supportive of our most vulnerable population, which is our elder and dependent adults. And they are subject to 4 different types of abuse that we've seen in our office. The first one is physical abuse, ranging from something as simple as like a battery, a shoving, a pushing, to something as serious as murder. Unfortunately, over the last 2 years, we've seen 2 incidences of murder of an elder or dependent person. In both cases, it was the mother of our suspect, and that mother had provided financial services to that suspect and had allowed them to live in their own home, which created such a high risk for both of our victims. The other type of abuses are neglect. This is when you have a caretaker that's playing interference with the elder and other people that may care for them. They may not take them to their doctor's appointments. They may use their medications, particularly pain medications, not feed them, allow them to live in squalor. The next type of abuse is financial abuse. That can happen either by somebody who they know or somebody outside. And the type of financial abuse that involves like a family member or a friend is somebody that's in charge of their finances and misappropriates their finances away from the care of the elder to their own purposes. And we've seen that in stealing Social Security checks, taking money directly from the elder. And I've heard, not in this jurisdiction, but in other jurisdictions, where they have children that convince their parents to turn over their house to them, sell their house, and leave their parent homeless, which is incredibly unfortunate. The other type of financial abuse involves complete strangers, which is typically the big scheme is something we call pig butchering. And it's a scheme that's done usually overseas. They have people that get on cell phones or the internet, and they reach out to seniors pretending to be a friend, like, oh, let me meet you for coffee. And that's the first text message the senior gets. And then that senior responds back with, I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you? And that initiates a conversation. And that conversation turns into an ongoing relationship or a friendship. And then that develops into the perpetrator saying, I have these assets and this is the way I make money. I'm willing to offer these business opportunities to you. And sooner or later, that senior will end up buying into or investing in these pretend business opportunities, and the perpetrator is able to steal almost all of their net worth. I recently did a presentation in front of the California retired teachers, and it shocked me that approximately half the room had been contacted by some of these pig butchering type of perpetrators. So it's not unusual for a senior to get these kind of calls. And then the last type of abuse is, of course, mental abuse, where their perpetrators will mentally break down that person. And very much like what Miss Bobby said about them not wanting to report, feeling fear for their perpetrators and what abuse that they might have. So I would like to close with our office is 100% committed to protecting seniors, and we join you, this board, in recognizing Elder Abuse and Dependent Protection Month.
Next slide. Oh, we're almost going to wrap up here. So local levels of support. We want to ensure that the community knows that we are here to support the district attorney's victim witness advocate. The district attorney's victim witness program assisted 31 victims of elder and dependent abuse. They can be reached at 559-852-2640. The Kings County Commission on Aging has also prepared 6 separate trainings and outreach sessions, and they can be reached at 559-852-2828. Next slide. Again, we want to remind individuals that potential signs of abuse can range inclusive of unattended medical needs, unexplained injuries, fraudulent signatures, or unusual changes in behavior. Next slide. If you see something, please say something. APS has a 24-hour hotline and can be reached at 559-852-4000. Again, that phone number is area code 559-852-4000. If the issue is in a long-term care facility, please call our Kings Tulare Ombudsman program at 559-852-2823. Lastly, we would like to inform the board and the community that we will be having 2 community events to continue to raise awareness. On June 12th, we will have a free pancake breakfast and community event in Armona. And then also a correction to the agenda item, it will be on June 17th, we will have a free pancake breakfast and community event in the Corcoran Senior Center. Both of those events start at 9 a.m. Next slide. Thank you to the board and members of the community for your time and attention today. We respectfully ask the board to recognize June 2026 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Kings County and join us in raising awareness of this important issue. We would also be honored to take a photo with the board in support of this proclamation. With that, we are happy to answer any questions.
So, Chris, for starters, how old do I have to be before I'm an elder? I want to tell my kids. Next up, to what you were saying, Sarah, about folks reaching out, strangers reaching out. That happened with my grandmother. One day, Teresa and I were walking on the beach, and Teresa was talking to my grandmother, and I could see that there was a level of concern there. And so I took the phone and I said, "What's going on, Nana?" And she said, "Well, I'm not supposed to talk to you about this." And I said, "Why would that be?" "Well, it involves your friends." I said, "Oh, well, my friends are a business owner and a doctor, so they can't get into too much trouble, I would think." What they had done is they had convinced her that they were in Canada and they had picked up a hitchhiker, and that person went to jail. And so that they all went to jail, actually. And so she had to bail them out. $6,000 it cost her. And I was glad to head her off at the pass because she was also going to get stuck with another $6,000 bill to get their car removed from impound, is what they had said. And so, and even with all of that, they had convinced her so deeply, she thought that was my friend's voice, until when she was non-compliant, they became very abusive to her. And at that point, she realized that it was a scam. Finally, thanks to Bobby for her work as an ombudsman. To your question, Supervisor, it came up with the Kings and Tulare area on aging, Supervisor Thayer and myself. So I appreciate your efforts with that. Those folks in Porterville, there were a lot of issues at that facility, and it took years to address that. I also want to thank Supervisor Larry McCary from Tulare County, because he was instrumental in this. His work as a police officer in Tulare County, I think he was a sheriff's deputy. Yeah. And so was very instrumental in this case. So I'm glad those people were all relocated. And so essentially they were saved by that. So thank you, Bob. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I just share in the same comments, Mr. Chairman. Bobby, thank you for your work that you do on, in the Commission on Aging. And, I'm still new to 18 months into this position, but glad to be part of that wonderful group of people. If you in the audience ever get the opportunity to come to one of our meetings, it's filled with a bunch of special people who I mean, sadly, like what we said, just outside of the elder abuse, it's just those who are, I don't even want to call them infirm, but they're closed into their homes, and all of us that are agile and awake and can move around need to be checking on our elderly all through the communities. And it was also sad with this thing on Porterville that it took years. And my understanding too, Bobby, is that these groups like that rise up and they could be like, we're the greatest caretaker. That's the name of the license. And then bam, the state takes it from them. So they're like, oh, today my name is Coffee Cup, and they get a new license and they go right back to work. And it's imperative on the state level that we stop that madness, that these folks do not deserve that. And with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Any other questions? Any other questions or comments from the audience?
Are we going to see Elvis?
Yes, you are.
He's a big hit with the crowd.
Oh yeah. I know one of the seniors, I asked him and she said she had 13 scarves. That's a lot. She's a groupie.
And that very senior that said that has been scammed over $100,000, starting from last year up into this year. The very senior that told you that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tragic.
Yes.
So, okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Yep. All right. Supervisor Thayer.
Second.
Supervisor Neves. Madam Clerk.
Joe Neves,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Right.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, DA.
You're welcome.
You're after you. That's okay. Perfect. Thank you. Chris, I think you can be there because you said reading. You never attend. We it's plural. Don't get to say it and don't show up. Supervisor Valley, are you coming?
I won't be in the area.
You won't be in the area. You excuse.
But you could call me out in front of everyone again. Like, yeah.
Well, Doug isn't here, so I have to call somebody.
All right. Let's see. Let me get my eyes on here. All right. Next up is unscheduled appearances. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on items of interest within the board's jurisdiction and which are not already on the agenda. The board will not answer questions impromptu, and concerns or complaints will be referred to appropriate staff. For items which are on the agenda, members of the public will be provided with an opportunity to address the board as each item is brought up for discussion. Speakers should limit their comments to not more than 2 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody online?
I have no written correspondence and no one online has their hand raised. My first speaker is Dave Putnam.
Sheriff, hello again.
Ripping on the rug. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Dave Putnam, Kings County Sheriff. I just wanted to approach your board real quick and speak about some real concerns I have about 911 calls coming in from the city of Avenel, coming into the Kings County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Center. As you know, with the Avenel Fire Department going live yesterday and going solo real soon, this creates a lot of issues that I'm really concerned about that I don't believe were completely vetted. The example would be that every 911 call from within the city of Avenel will come into our dispatch center, into the KCSO dispatch center, regardless of what the situation may be, whether it's a law emergency, whether it's a medical aid, fire emergency, a true fire, a traffic collision, whatever the case may be. That 911 call is going to come into Kings County Sheriff's PSAP. The city of Avenel is representing that they've contracted with Fresno County EMS for fire dispatching. However, as I mentioned, every 911 call is still going to come into our center. That will have to be triaged by a Kings County Sheriff's dispatcher, triage to determine what that call may need, what kind of response will be needed. Then if it's determined to be a fire call or a medical call, our dispatchers will have to transfer the call to EMS, Fresno EMS, to dispatch the Avenel Fire Department and the ambulance service. So the big concern is there hasn't been any discussion with me. I haven't heard from Avenel Fire at all. There hasn't been any discussion of an MOU or a liability waiver or discussions involving any kind of issues with delay. We still have to do it the old-fashioned way, pick up the phone, transfer the call to EMS. There's opportunity for calls to drop. We haven't discussed any software upgrades or interfaces or any CAD to CAD interfaces to forward the 911 calls to Fresno EMS. And we're, like I mentioned, we're kind of stuck in the old-fashioned way of physically transferring calls. There's always a risk of dropping the 911 call, being placed on hold, the amount of traffic, just a myriad of issues that could occur during this transfer of calls and during the triage process. So I don't have an absolute solution. I know we're going to be working on it this week, and there's going to be lots of conversations, but I just wanted to put this on everybody's radar. It's really the purpose of my conversation this morning. So thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Sheriff, if you don't mind, if it's something you can't answer, or don't feel like you have to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is it your opinion that what you just stated as it relates to the 911 situation, that lives could be put at risk there in Avenel?
That's always a possibility. Yeah, that's basically my statement. Yeah.
I appreciate you making those comments public that you just did.
Thank you.
I think the community is seeing so much coming out of Avenel, but I think that aside from past litigation or potential future litigation and all this mess that's going on, this is something that just needs to be nipped in the bud today. And I would offer to you that I would make some calls as soon as we get a break to Avenel. And I guess the only person at this point that I would probably call would either be Councilman Ricardo Verdugo or the city manager, Anthony Lopez, to say that today they either need to come here or you and I can go there.
Absolutely.
But I think before the sun sets today, that this right here has to be 100% clear, because whatever games are being played out that way are not your fault. But the people, our constituents at Avenel, from the constant calls that I get from them, especially in the last week and a half, they already so frustrated and so full of anxiety and anger and fear and everything else, that this right here cannot be added to the mix. This right here cannot be some game that's being played. This has to be taken care of today.
Right. And we have the only, like I mentioned, only PSAP, public safety answering point, that they have access to right now. So the 911 calls are going to come in, and we're going to do a good job of triaging them and getting the right people in place and the proper responses. But it's an issue that has to be addressed, and don't have the absolute answer. But nobody from the city of Avenel Fire has reached out to me, or that I know of any of my command staff, to discuss this, and just saying that they've gone to contract with another entity is great, and they're going to be able to provide dispatch services for their fire department and their ambulance service out there. But again, just the issue is every 911 call will come into Kings County Sheriff's Dispatch Center. So just
understood. Thanks for that.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman. Council, can you think about, if needed, because I know the sheriff's busy too, but if there's the current language on the agenda for any of the closed session items relative to Avenel, where we possibly move something like this forward this morning, where the sheriff can be invited in closed session if it's appropriate. If not, I understand.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Chief.
Chairman, it appears Doug Verboen has his
Oh,
hand raised.
Supervisor Verboen.
Thank you very much. My question is to the sheriff. How much are we liable for a mistake if something does happen because we are taking the calls in and they haven't secured proper a contract to get that done? Are we liable in any way?
Well, that was my absolute concern. If they're representing that they're in contract with another agency to dispatch them, but the calls still come into our PSAP, and if there's a delay that we haven't did the proper upgrade with CAD to CAD communication, yeah, then potentially the liability, or at least the belief that the liability or potential liability could fall on the county or on the sheriff's office. So that is the absolute concern that I have, and that's my purpose of voicing this concern. And you know, speaking with the fire chief real quick, I think we're addressing some of those current concerns today that I wasn't absolutely aware of. So maybe we do have some resolution to that, but that's my whole purpose of being here, is to try to minimize some of this liability to the county. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to do what we do. We answer 911 calls and we triage them and we get them the proper response out. But this is a different game now, where we're not dispatching the fire department like we always have. Now we're transferring a call and another entity is dispatching the fire department. So kind of a little unknown. And I see that I think the fire chief can expand upon that. But that was my concern, is the potential liability we'll have if there's an issue, if there's a delayed response, if for some reason Fresno EMS drops a call and the 911 caller doesn't call back, or they don't have the ability to call them right back. We all know that with 911 and cell phone calls, it drops and we have to call them back instantaneously. And then sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. And so you're limited on information. We still respond to that, but this is just kind of a little bit unknown that I'm concerned about. So
Yeah, my concern is that our relationship with Avenel administration is broken, and I know I don't have any more trust for them, and I'm worried that they would set us up to make a failure or make a mistake, so we're sued, and I don't want that to happen.
my concern as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Chief, welcome.
Good morning, John Chamberlain, Kings County Fire Chief. I was not intent on speaking this morning. Thanks, Sheriff, for that. So I just want to put a little bit of substance on the back end of this. So basically, last Monday, I had met with their fire chief, talking about a preliminary transitional plan and what that, in theory, would look like. I believe it was Wednesday. We were served a letter from the city manager. Might have been Tuesday afternoon, late Tuesday afternoon, early Wednesday. Basically saying they wanted to start implementing services 0800 yesterday morning, with full transition June 11th at 0800. Basically Friday evening after hours, I had their plan dumped in my lap for Monday. And basically what the plan was we're going to assume all services. We're going to take all calls. And then if it's a big deal, we're going to kick it to you. Obviously, that's not conducive to our operation. Curia and I had a discussion about it, spent the entire weekend sorting it out the best I could. Ultimately came to the determination we're going to run redundant services because I'm not comfortable with it. I did press their fire chief and asked him what specific agreements they actually have in place, because our cooperators are calling us and they literally have 0 inked deals, not one. So basically they're relying on mutual aid and our goodwill and that of our cooperators. I don't believe it's necessarily a cost pass through, but I think it's an oversight on their part and not understanding the dynamics of what actually is occurring in the substance of what could occur. As I spoke with counsel, I'm under a court order, and until I'm relieved that court order, I have 0 intention of abandoning that community. Just so we're all on the same page. So that's kind of where we're at this point. And I'm open to any questions you may have.
Chief, if I heard you right, so I think I heard you 2 times say that Avenel is asking me to, and our firefighters to be there part-time and on standby. You're saying, no, we're full-time and we're answering every call. If that's the case, for clarification, could you work with our CEO and our council to see about a statement today that we can put out on social media. I'd love to put something out just to cut through another layer of confusion that's out there, and have the county put something out as well that says what you said, that the county firefighters are there and they're on duty. If you want to put a date on it to the 11th, or you want to leave it open based on your comments about the court order, and to me that's fine as well. But I think we need some clarification for the people of Avenel.
Sure. And I was in attendance last Thursday when Lupe was there and did actually serve them a notification. I addressed the city manager and their council specifically. Councilman Verdugo had left the meeting at that point, but I did let them know, because we're under the TRO, I have zero intention of actually leaving the community. So that is on public record at their council meeting as well. So, but we are there 24/7. We can intend on standing our watch until we're relieved or ordered by the courts of relief. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else have a question?
I can have one more second. So with that being said by the chief, and we have till the 11th, I feel real comfortable until the 11th, but we're at this 9-10 days that I reiterate my concern that we'll have some liability or some potential, but hopefully we can work through that in the next 9 or 10 days. And if that the June 11th date comes to fruition, that they go solo, then hopefully we've worked through these issues. But that was the concern. So I do feel comfortable today, and with having Kings County Fire, the redundant services that the chief talked about, that we're completely involved with that. Then the dispatching, I don't have that concern until we don't have Kings County Fire there, and until we've figured out what the proper method is going forward with receiving every call at our dispatch center. Thank you. Sorry for being long-winded, but very important topic.
It's important. Madam CEO, Mr. Chair, would you mind considering memorializing this concern in an email to the city manager and copying whoever needs to be copied on that?
Madam Clerk?
Brian Medeiros would like to speak.
Good morning, Brian.
Morning. Brian Medeiros, Division 4 Director for the Kings County Water District. I come to you guys before you today with a little bit lighter topic, hopefully. The Kings County Water District went through a search for a new general manager, and she's standing behind me here. I'll let her introduce herself, Madeline Vieira. And wanted to just report that obviously irrigation water is running in our county. Every ditch has had water in it to date. So we're fully working on making sure that every farmer gets water that they need for the season. It'll probably be here through the end of July. But I'll let Maddie introduce herself to you guys.
Good. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. My name's Madeline Vieira, and I will be the new general manager of Kings County Water District. I'm Tulare born and raised, but I'm very excited to be serving Kings County and securing surface water supplies for all of our landowners.
Very good. Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
One thing I would say is sometimes we get embedded in our silos. Let's keep an open dialogue, huh? With
Absolutely.
all the farmers and us.
I think that's great. I look forward to that.
Very good.
Thank you.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, Madam Clerk.
That's all that I'm aware of. I don't have any more speaker cards, and no one has their hand raised.
Anybody else in the audience that would like to say something today? Okay, then we will go on to the minutes. Let's see here. All right. Ms. Avedisian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was no reportable action taken in closed session for May 19th.
Okay. So no reportable action on item A. Item B, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting for May 12, 2026. I'll entertain a motion. All right. Okay, Supervisor Neves and Supervisor Thayer. All right, Madam Clerk. Well, any questions? All right, Madam Clerk.
Joe Neves.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
All right.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes. Okay, good stuff. We'll go on to the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. If a board member has questions, requests additional information, or wishes to comment on an item, the vote should not be taken until after questions have been addressed or comments made, and the public has had an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items. Do we have any questions or comments? Do we have any from the public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
The move is presented.
Supervisor Neves, Supervisor Valley, Madam Clerk.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley, Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Okay. Regular calendar, item A, Human Services Agency. Let's see here. Nope, I'm sorry. Community Development, that's Chuck.
Behavioral health.
Where's behavioral health? Let me see.
Okay, Chuck, go first. You sacrificed.
Hiding in there. Might be no old agenda.
Oh, you know what? That's me. I got it now.
The old one.
Hello.
Chuck can go first if he wants to. I don't mind. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Brett Woolman, Interim Director for Behavioral Health. Today we have Second Amendment with California Psychiatric Transitions for the Licensed Mental Health Rehabilitation Center. Kings County Behavioral Health is seeking approval of a Second Amendment to the agreement number 24/155 with California Psychiatric Transitions, CPT. It's a licensed mental health rehabilitation center providing 24-hour structured care in a locked residential setting for individuals with severe treatment-resistant mental illness, and includes to include updated rates and increased contract amount for fiscal year 26-27. This is a little bit of a long one, so I'm going to try to stay on track with it. Background, CPT is a 98-bed mental health rehabilitation center based in Delhi, California. Licensed by the California Department of Healthcare Services, MHRCs are a 24-hour licensed program that provides intensive support and rehabilitation services designed to assist people 18 years and older with severe mental illness who have been placed in a state hospital or another mental health facility to help develop skills to become self-sufficient and capable of increasing levels of independence and functioning. CPT has over 20 years experience treating individuals with severe mental illness and has a unique ability to admit and treat individuals who face challenges in successfully finding admission due to barriers such as disruptive behaviors. CPT's program has 4 mental health programs within their MHRC divided by severity of diagnosis. So they have their main unit, reentry unit, diversion unit, and disruptive behavior unit. Each program is highly structured and offer a variety of services to generate insight, promote recovery, integrate back into the community. Residents are assigned to an in-house psychiatrist that manages residents' progress through consistent medication management, group therapy sessions, and individual therapy sessions. Staff psychiatrists and family nurse practitioners are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to address any immediate needs of the resident, and services are unique to each of the 4 units and tailored to meet the needs of the individual. In 24-25, CPT programs served 5 adults who met this level of care, and thus far in 25-26, the CPT program is serving 4 adults who are currently placed who meet this level of care need. Specific rates and length of stay for an individual can vary based on the specific needs and level of care required. Rate covers all aspects of care, including individual and group therapy, medication management, room and board, and other support services, which typically range from $500 to $2,000 per day in these California facilities. One-to-one monitoring can be an additional charge for approximately $59 per hour if required for a client and is used for observation and oversight to maximize behavioral supports and to minimize harm to self or others. KCBH's rate is $544 per day for the MHRC and $59 per hour for the one-to-one. For the disruptive behavior units, $1,024 per day and $59 per hour for the one-to-one. And for the forensic unit, it's $762 per day and $59 per hour for one-to-one. Treatment length is typically designed to be between 3 to 12 months, although this can be extended to 18 months to ensure successful completion of the treatment plan and appropriate transitions to a less restrictive environment. Ultimately, the duration is determined by the client's assessed needs and treatment progress rather than a fixed schedule. The original agreement was presented to the Board of Supervisors on September 10th, 2024, and approved. On December 16th, 2026, KCBH brought forth the First Amendment to the agreement with CPT to add new rates for fiscal year 25-26, which was approved. KCBH is seeking a Second Amendment to the agreement due to the new adjusted rates for fiscal year 26-27, which were negotiated between the provider and KCBH, but cannot be secured prior to the end of the last fiscal year. It will take effect on July 1st, 2026. Rate adjustment is a licensed mental health facility, are routine and customary occurrence within the behavioral health system, and are generally driven by increase in operational expenses, workforce recruitment, retention costs, employee wages and benefits, cost of living expenses, inflationary pressures, licensing and regulatory compliance requirements, and other expenses associated with maintaining quality treatment and residential services. In addition to reimbursement methodologies and funding rates established or modified by DHCS, may result in providers requesting corresponding pass-through rates and adjustments to offset increased service delivery costs. KCBH carefully reviews all requested increase and seeks to minimize fiscal impacts wherever feasible, while encouraging continued access to necessary behavioral health services and maintaining provider capacity. Due to increased utilization of services and ongoing operational cost increases, the continued need to support adequate levels of care for clients, this amendment is necessary. The Second Amendment also increases the budget for fiscal year 26-27 from $1,122,957 to $2,296,580. The sole source justification for CPT was previously approved by the purchasing manager that covers the term of the agreement, and the Second Amendment has been reviewed and approved by County Council on Risk as to form. Fiscal impact, there is no fiscal impact to the county general fund. Sufficient appropriations for this agreement were included in the fiscal year 24-25 adopted budget, fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget, and are also included in the fiscal year 26-27 requested budget under budget unit 240000 mental health services. The budget amount for this agreement for fiscal year 24-25 is $1,122,957. $1,122,957 for fiscal year 25-26, and $3,368,871 for fiscal year 26-27. I believe that's the total for the contract period. And for fiscal year 26-27, the budget increased from $1,122,957 to $2,296,580. The total budget for this agreement over the entire term, with approval of this amendment, $4,542,494. That's a lot of dollars in accounting. Sorry, I've got a little bit of dyslexia, so trying to get the numbers straight. Recommendation to approve the Second Amendment with California Psychiatric Transitions to approve mental health services for the individuals with severe and treatment-resistant mental illness for an updated rate list effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. And with that, I'm available for questions.
I have one for you, Brett. So I know these beds are hard to come by.
Yes.
Fiscal year 26-27, the $2,296,580 figure, only 4 beds are being used.
So these folks, and I think the bigger portion of this is those different facility types within this facility, how they have them separated with forensic and the disruptive behavioral unit. Those tend to be very difficult to find when we have aggressive clients. A lot of the cost can come from those if we can't place them. And it is also the duration of placement that becomes the big impact in these figures. So that is the cost. This is a primary focus for behavioral health, and we're working with Public Guardian and our placement teams to try and get these folks to a lower level of care. But it just depends on the acuity of the client, where they're able to be housed at the time. And so the need can shift depending on whatever the client's experiencing.
So over $500,000 for each person till we can get them to a lower level.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Cody Pennington, Public Guardian.
So CPT is are one step below a state hospital placement. So it is what we consider really our highest level of facility. And so these are clients that most of them we are getting from the courts that have some sort of criminal or aggressive or assaultive background and are coming to us severely mentally ill with some sort of history of aggressive behavior, staff assaults, and usually have some sort of failure at much lower. And so they're needing a very high level to start. We are working very well with the behavioral health staff currently to try to get people down, but these are unfortunately the ones that are just really, really hard to place. And would just not be able to be anywhere in a facility that wasn't at this high of a structure. It wouldn't be safe to the community, and even in this structure, they're still assaultive to staff and to peers, even at this level.
Any questions or comments? Do we have any questions or comments from the audience?
Okay. I had just one question because I just wanted to clarify. So the 4 beds, are we only sending 4 people?
Or is this? That's what we have so far. And so last year was 5. And so those are, I think, are unique clients within this, but we end up doing day counts for beds too in the long run to see what our total number is. So it could fluctuate. It depends on the year, depends on the clients when they're getting out. Some folks get released from incarceration or come back to the community, so it can fluctuate.
Yeah, and I'm just curious because I don't know how far back the history on this goes, but prior to 2011, California realignment, when the state flushed their prisons into our county jails, and now we're a mental institution ourselves out here in the North 40 of this county complex. And I'm just curious if these people if these clients were always designated for that type of bed, or are these folks those folks who prior to 2011 would have been in prison? And then I just matched, and I don't know, Sheriff, if you recall what our mental health cost is in the jail.
These clients, these aren't people who have always remained at this level. On a conservatorship, for what we call an LPS conservatorship, its lowest level of placement is the standard for law. So we are always evaluating them on a constant basis to try to get them to the lowest level, which is a cost saving. And also for their benefit, we don't want to keep them at a high level if they don't need that. The whole point is to get them to the point where they can be in the community and function as a member of society. And so it's always kind of reevaluating on a weekly basis with behavioral health in Kingsview. So these 4 aren't the same 4 that were there 3 years ago. Off the top of my head, I think one of them is the same one, but that's just because that person has been on the state hospital placement list waiting a bed at the state hospital for the last 6 years. But other than that, I believe that the rest of them are people who have been new that have gone into those beds, and those 5 that were there before, 4 of those have gone down to lower levels. So they're constant moving people. It's not the same 5 or the same 4. We're always moving them around, but I do know one of them is the same one that was there 3 years ago.
But also, and this is just, I'm just saying this just for public transparency too, by the way. When you say lower level, there's a cost associated with that outside of this $4 million. There's money too.
Yeah.
There are, and I think too, there's certain programs that can be reimbursed through Medi-Cal and certain programs that cannot. And so that's what we're looking to do at this time, is to maximize recoverable services through billing to reduce the impact out of realignment. Because if I can keep things into reimbursable rates, I have more realignment to kind of be flexible and move with to support things that I can't cover. So that's really our goal, is to get them into lower level of care and community reintegration at certain points, but depends on the individual.
No, and I appreciate that, Brett. I just throw it out there that we can call it whatever we can call it whatever words we want to say. It's tax dollars that are funding this. And I've said this before. I mean, it's crazy that I mean, I know why we have to send them to Delhi, up in, 2 hours away from here. I mean, I understand that. It just surprises me that the state hasn't, if this is such an important topic to the state, mental health and behavioral health and those type of services back in within our community, why they're not investing back into local, because we're literally sending $4 million to a different county to enrich people that work for that facility and not Kings County residents. Yeah, it's just a thorn in my side. Nothing to do with you two.
And they had tried, but I don't think that the amount of money it costs to build this system county by county is not available. It is massive, and that's part of where Good Samaritan's coming in with the PUF. So that was the intention, was to build this infrastructure up to try and have those levels of care to keep community placements. But it is immense, and then you get into counties that may not have the capacity to keep these beds full. It's just such a difficult thing to manage. But if I could probably do this in a meeting too to give more information, but the investment throughout the Central Valley with the B-CHIP funding to build this system, it's there, but it takes time too, because they haven't even started certain projects.
Right. But it's, to me, and it's just more on the funneling of money that comes out of the state. And then when it comes to like our local jails, you have a significant number of pretrial folks in custody, which means they haven't been convicted of any crime. They're just they're not convicted individuals. But I mean, can you imagine us just throwing it'd be great to be able to throw $4 million into our own mental health systems here locally, to people that work in our jails and in our facilities and live local and support ourselves. But the state doesn't do that. So we have to carve out this money out of the general fund to fund this. It's just crazy. It's just mind blowing.
That's why I try to get everything that I can get reimbursed through Medi-Cal as possible. If I can get reimbursement, I can keep money out of my realignment, and I have more room to work with that. And that's how we can build some kind of trust or reserves to even try to do projects.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is to keep it in Medi-Cal and get reimbursed.
I'm done venting. Sorry. Thank you. You can bill me for my therapy session here. I appreciate it.
We could vent with you just as probably.
Yeah. I don't take insurance. It's cash pay, so we'll be good.
Yeah, I have a quick one. So the person you're trying to get at the state level, how long does it take to get into them?
So average of 5 to 6 years. In the last few years, the state hospitals kind of redid the way that they allotted beds. It used to just be you would put an application in and they would get put into a big long list. And whenever a bed became available, the next person on the list for the entire state was the one that they went to. And then if you were that person was still eligible, still met the criteria, then they would offer it to you. They made some changes, and now essentially every county has allotted a certain number of beds per the size of your county. So it really just depends. So our county has 4 beds. So we currently have 4 people in the state hospitals, and those 4 beds that we're filling, we're looking at trying to move some out, because the hope is that when they're at the state hospital, they get better, and then you move them to a lower level, and then you can put people into those beds. The downfall is that the people that we have in state hospital placements are there for a reason. A lot of them are so severely unstable that they may not be able to reach a level where they can get to a board and care, which is a much cheaper and a much lower level of placement. I know one off the top of my head that will probably spend his entire life in a state hospital placement. So that automatically takes one of those 4 beds always gone. So we really only have 3 in Kings County to kind of wiggle and play with. And so we have to constantly evaluate what clients we have that need a state hospital. And so when they come to us and say, okay, you guys have a bed now because you moved someone out, we look at our list of 7 or 8 people and say, who is the most acute, who needs that number 1 spot? And then that would be the person we would move. So for our county, we have 4, and that's all we get. Bigger counties get more beds. Whether they fill their beds or not, those are allotted to their county and their county only.
So when they go to the state hospital, who pays that bill? Do we pay it or the state pays it?
Good question. That is a good question. I'd have to go back and see the exact numbers. I think a lot of this too comes back to division of cost and the mental health requirement of these things. I'll have to go back and dig and come back in a public comment. But I know that we're constantly looking at who's paying what, because there are parts where we're looking at folks that are maybe in a skilled nursing and they're there for largely medical issues, but then behavioral health is still covering a lot of the cost. So we're looking at those pieces to see where they go. The managed care plans have a piece to pay in this too, depending on what the placement is for, but that gets into why are they primarily placed here and what kind of conservatorship they're under or who they're going to pay out. But I'll get back with my staff and we can get a number on the state placement costs.
My understanding off the top of my head is it's a combined behavioral health, state, and kind of off of their insurance as well. Medi-Cal as well pays a portion of it, but I don't know how that breaks off and who pays what portion and those kind of things.
Very good.
It also depends whether they're in custody or not.
Correct. Well, and the
Custody,
ones
we're paying for it.
well, and the ones that are in custody wouldn't fall under the conservatorship process.
Correct.
They would be under the
They
the
would
sheriff's
be
department.
under, yeah, good. And I'm just curious too, if and I don't know if you know the answer. Are these 4 beds? Are they always Kings County residents, or are they?
Yes,
'Cause I know-
if
'cause I know
our
that-
4 beds are always Kings County residents. In order to be on a public guardian LPS conservatorship, you must be a Kings County resident. We've gotten quite a few referrals from the jail, and it's something that we've kind of gone back and forth with the prisons because they've been trying to send us referrals for people who are in prison who commit a crime. So they commit a crime in Kings County, and that's the county of commitment. However, LPS standards say you must be a Kings County resident, and they are not a Kings County resident because they were placed here from another county, like where they committed their initial offense. So it's a lot of back and forth. Thankfully, Public Guardian, we have a really good agreement through other Public Guardian Association and the other counties. And so if we do get one of those referrals for someone who commits something that they're not a resident of our county, but they are referred to us through the jail system or the court system, and they actually are a county resident of another county, we contact their Public Guardian, and then their Public Guardian will step in and take over as the conservator. So these are our county residents only. So
Perfect. And because that's exactly the question that I was trying to pinpoint. Because I know you get somebody get sentenced from an LA County Superior Court and they put them in corporate prison and commit crimes in our jurisdictional boundaries, and then they end up in our county jail.
We do.
Absolute chaos.
We do, and we get a lot of that upfront work where the investigation has to be done, because that investigation has to be done here in our county to determine those factors of whether they are a Kings County resident, what led up to it, whether they even meet the criteria for an LPS. Are they gravely disabled due to an actual mental illness, or is it something more like dementia? Because those actually don't fall under LPS standards. Those are probate. So that beginning work falls under our office, which is a downfall because there's no reimbursement for us on the back end of that. But we're willing to do that work if it takes that to help get another county to step in if they need to.
Thanks, Greg.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody from the audience? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Movement, Chair.
Supervisor Nebb. Supervisor Thayer, Madam Clerk.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
you.
Okay, Chuck. I think I have the right one this time.
You think it's going to be up?
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Chairmen and Supervisors of the Board. Yesenia Karufa, Planner with the Kings County Community Development Agency. I'm here this morning to briefly discuss an agreement we're seeking to enter with Apex Energy Solutions, LLC, and First Northern Bank regarding a solar project that's taking place in the southern portion of our county, known as the Gardenia Solar Project. This project was approved by the Kings County Planning Commission in 2020 through CUP 1708 to establish a 5-megawatt solar energy generating facility and a battery energy storage system on approximately 30 acres of undeveloped land in Kettleman City. Since the project's approval, the developers have been working to comply with their conditions of approval for the project, and one of those conditions includes providing the county with financial assurance for reclamation and restoration of the project site at the end of the project's useful life. The total reclamation costs for this particular project are $39,310, plus an additional $20,000 in county administrative costs related to decommissioning the project. The developer, Apex Energy Solutions LLC, has opted to create a certificate of deposit, or CD, for the $39,310 and pay the remaining $20,000 for administrative costs in cash. The deposit account control agreement that we are seeking approval to sign is needed to provide the county with control of the CD with the $39,310 for the purpose of protecting its security interest within. The agreement will also allow the county to instruct First Northern Bank to withdraw or distribute any of the funds credited to the account without further consent from Apex Energy Solutions. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by County Council as to form. Staff recommends that the board authorizes the Community Development Agency Director to sign and enter into a deposit account control agreement with Apex Energy Solutions LLC and First Northern Bank. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Yesenia? Threads are there.
Yeah, I do. Because I'm just curious. So I see that there's administrative costs in here and I just saw it out because I still see the fire chief there, and he probably wasn't expecting to talk on this one either. But, lithium ion battery, like this stuff catches fire all the time, and solar, and just significant issues. And so is the county not capturing those, just in case your stuff catches fire, we're going to bill you significantly for our time and efforts? Sorry, chief.
Set on the end. Good morning again, John Chamberlain, Fire Chief. So to answer your question, we don't really have the cost recovery mechanism in place for that. We're working on that, bringing that forward. We're looking at all of our agreements, but specifically related to that. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. We probably actually, I managed one yesterday. It was 50 acres. But we've probably done 18 solar farm fires already this year. Typically what happens is once they establish what their actual project is going to be, historically they had deposited money into what's called a solar account for fire, or they were able to purchase a piece of equipment to offset that. That's how we have most of our type 3s and type 6 engines. We're looking for a long-term revenue stream on that. My understanding is the law is changing coming up, where there's actually be assessed valuation related to the solar fields, and that could potentially be an offset related to that. But we are looking at putting together some type of code or ordinance directly related to it, so we can assess that cost recovery on the way. If it's directly attributable to it, we can bill it out to their insurance accordingly, but we have to have findings through the investigation to actually specifically nail it to that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think the county should get ahead of that. I know it's not necessarily just you, but just in general that these places come into our county and create significant cost to us, a county, with literally no cost back to them. Like, you can just build it, you can make a bunch of money as an energy company and get free fire services when your stuff catches on fire.
Absolutely agree. And typically most of those fires, even yesterday's, basically it took 3 separate type 3 engine companies and about 4 hours for me to mop up that 50 acres and get it under control. So
yeah, just a ballpark. If you were to throw a number, what do you think that
yesterday's
personnel, fire,
yesterday's suppression efforts, you're probably looking at $500 to $600 an hour realistically per engine company, so about $1,500 an hour. So about six grand roughly for us to put that out.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I got one more, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So lithium and sodium, one of those is a really hard one to put out. How do you get it out?
Lithium is the more dangerous of the two, the more unstable version. Actually, we're to the point where that's where your Teslas and other things like that currently are I want to say distributed. Basically, a lot of systems we're seeing coming in are lithium ion. They're based off Tesla technology. What's very interesting about this, we're actually going through this, and you will see a board agenda item coming forward. We're actually going to subcontract out subject matter expertise to a company on the East Coast, because these codes change daily related to it. One of the interesting facets of it is they're not subject to the California Fire Code, because they're not actually a product, they're a service. And so there's a difference in there. They're able to get away with variances. So things that we would think that would be, you should have massive, to me, you should have 10, 15 feet in between these things, because they're storing megawatts of power. I would want them separate if I was the project owner, because each one of these things costs somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million per battery storage unit. They don't care. Literally, the one we had yesterday, we caught an inverter on fire. They literally said, let it burn and we'll just rip it out and put a new one in. We'll have it live by this afternoon. So that's kind of their attitude along the way. Lithium is extremely difficult to put out chemically. It reacts directly with the hydrogen and oxygen, strips the compounds, they actually split the atoms, it gets down to molecular, and it's difficult for us to suppress those. Sodium is much more stable, but it doesn't provide the width for the actual storage of the energy component. So that's kind of what's going on. So they're transitioning more over sodium. It's less destructive to the environment, different things on that. The shelf life is shorter, and the energy component is shorter. So that's why they're struggling trying to get that transition done. But lithium is extremely difficult for us to put out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, I think it's important to think about the weed abatement part of it, because if the combustion wasn't there, it doesn't matter the cause. But why these fires grow to 50, 60, 100 acres is because we've allowed that material to build up in those areas that were not part of the permit process. So I think we need to move the weed abatement and put it back in the fire department's overview, because I think we have allowed some pretty outrageous weed abatement problems that not only creates problems for the fire department, creates problems for the ag commissioner, because weed seeds come from those plants. Insects overwinter on those plants. It's a real threat to agriculture and to the fire department. And I think we need to start at the root cause, and that's weed abatement. So I think we need to make some big changes in that oversight of those sites.
And that's only going to get worse, right, Chief, with the fallowing of all this land?
Correct. Yeah, it's interesting. Their answer to this, and everybody's going to laugh about it when I say this. Their answer is to put livestock out there. Originally, they tried goats. Goats eat everything. They didn't realize that, so then we had barbecued goat everywhere. So now they've actually migrated over to sheep. Sheep are just dumb and won't move, so we have to chase them around the thing that when we're firing out. So we do need to be a lot more proactive on the code enforcement / weed abatement aspect of it. That will definitely help us. Yesterday's stuff was the weeds were probably 18 inches to 2 feet tall. I believe the current code is 6 inches, but with the rainfall and everything that's going on, and you just called the fouling of the additional lands that are happening, it's going to be problematic for us.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, I'm still processing the code.
Chairman Supervisor Verboen has his hand raised.
Supervisor Verboen.
Thank you very much. I want to second Supervisor Neves's comments. Not only do the solar farms create a problem for the fire, they also create a problem for the neighboring farmers if there is anybody near them. And we do have to have them follow our policy, which keep the weeds down. And I don't think we got rid of code enforcement several years ago, and it may be time to look at that again. Also, we have a lot of land that we have these corporation landowners come here buying land up to take the water off, leaving their ground fallow, which is, we got weeds 3-4 feet tall. That causes more than just a fire hazard. It also causes a insect problem to the neighboring farm. So I get multiple calls daily on farmers that have quit farming their ground. And as Sigma comes into play and people set their ground aside, lack of money to work those fields, it causes a problem for those that are farming in the field. So I think it's time to maybe do a study session on that through community development and bring it back to the board for a decision to help protect those that are still trying to run a business in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anybody in the audience? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Supervisor Neves. Supervisor Thayer, Madam Clerk.
Joe Neves.
Yes.
Richard Valley. Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Madam DA. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be able to talk to this board as much as I have this morning. Thank you, board. We have come before you. We're asking approval to sign an agreement for Axon Digital Evidence Management. Currently, every single police department in the county, Hanford, Corcoran, Avenal, Lemoore, and in addition to the sheriff's department, uses Axon body-worn video in collecting their evidence. And some of the agencies also use the digital evidence locker. What happens is that digital evidence then comes over to our office, and we store all of the body-worn videos associated with any crime that happens in Kings County. And as of right now, our office is taking on more than 1 terabyte a month in evidence that is coming in, and we're rapidly running out of space in our local drive. Just as a sense of what the kind of evidence storage or data storage that we use, every department in Kings County combined does not use the amount of digital storage that the DA's office has. And so what we're hoping to do is sign a contract with Axon for their digital management system, where we can have unlimited digital storage. If we move forward in this direction, then we will not need to buy another local digital storage system, which we suspect may cost at a minimum of $200,000. And that storage unit that we would use locally would need to be replaced every 5 to 7 years, and probably even more than that, because as we become more and more digital as a society,
And as phones get bigger and computers get bigger, we're going to end up using more digital storage. The other thing is that as our office gets these body worn videos right now, because we don't have Axon to assist us in transferring over those videos, we have to consistently go back to the agencies and ask again, can you please get our discovery? Can we get our discovery? It slows the filing process down, and it also slows our prosecution if we find out that we don't get all of the digital body worn videos. And lastly, we don't have any way to label the body worn videos when it comes to our system. So if we have a big homicide scene where multiple officers or deputies respond, we have to listen to the video and figure out, okay, whose voice does that sound like? It can't be Officer Joe because I see him in the background. And so there's a lot of guesswork in how we get our videos to us right now. And we are asking you to approve this contract. It's approximately for 10 years. The first year is going to be about $94,000 plus $15,000 to onboard. And then it'll slowly go up 4% each year.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions for Sarah?
Just one, and you may have said it, I stepped out for a second. Do you, are we dumping old stuff after a certain period of time that's taking up storage space?
I've asked IT for whether or not having your building a retention policy would be favorable to us. And the answer that I received is we could implement a retention policy, but it's not going to help the situation because 10 years ago, and I wouldn't go any less than 10 years because for example, our DUIs have a washout for priors for 10 years. And obviously we'd also keep our lifer cases or homicides forever because those can always be appealed. But what we were collecting in digital evidence 10 years ago is only a fraction of what we're getting now. And so even if we did not retain certain evidence after a period of time, it's not going to keep up with the massive amount of digital evidence that's coming in right now and what will likely happen in increases in the future.
Yeah, I was just thinking like attaching it to like the statute of limitations, recognizing that there's some that don't have statute of limitations and just maybe a policy like that. Anyway, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Supervisor Thayer. Supervisor Valley. Madam Clerk.
Joe Nebs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
All right.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Robinson and members of the Board of Supervisors. Carolyn Least, Director of Human Resources. I'm here to provide a report of suspension of competition for 2 employees in the District Attorney's Office that were effective Monday, May 25th, 2026. Personnel Rule 4060 allows for competition for a position to be suspended by the Human Resources Director, but this action must be reported to the board at the next regular meeting. These actions these items are for information only. Both positions are for Assistant Department Director classifications. First, Raymond Patrick McPherson. Patrick was appointed as the Chief District Attorney Investigator. This position is responsible for supporting the District Attorney for conducting and coordinating investigative work for a broad range of complex cases, including felony, misdemeanor, juvenile, civil, and administrative matters. This position is also responsible for the oversight, coordination, and leadership of the Investigations Division. Patrick has over 37 years of law enforcement experience and has worked for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, and the Fresno County District Attorney's Office. He has held the position of Chief Investigator for approximately 8 years at the Fresno County District Attorney's Office. Excuse me. Patrick has a management post certificate and has a bachelor's degree in sociology from California State University, Northridge. Patrick, welcome to Kings County, and congratulations on your appointment. Secondly, I have Catherine Smith. Katie was also appointed as the Assistant District Attorney. This position is responsible for assisting the District Attorney in planning, organizing, managing, and providing direction and oversight for all function and activities of the District Attorney's Office. Katie graduated with her Juris Doctorate from Thomas Jefferson School of Law and has active membership and good standing with the California State Bar. She also has over 11 years of experience as an attorney, prosecuting a variety of misdemeanor and felony cases, and has served as a Deputy District Attorney 5 with Tulare County prior to coming to Kings County as a supervising district attorney in October of 2024. Katie has been serving as the acting assistant district attorney since March of this year. Katie, congratulations on your appointment. I would like to invite District Attorney Sarah Hacker to the podium to introduce her newly appointed Assistant Chief DA Investigator and Assistant DA.
First and foremost, I am honored to have both of these amazing people as part of our team at the DA's office. Both of them have brought a skill set that have really raised the bar as far as our office and the professionalism that we can now offer Kings County. I'll go in order of the agenda items. Chief McPherson, would you please stand up? Chief Pat McPherson, as you had heard, worked in multiple law enforcement agencies before he came to Kings County. We are so lucky that he has decided to come out of retirement and to join our department. He has experience in major crimes, gang crimes, public integrity, and managing a district attorney's office as well, office bureau. And the amount of experience and skill that he brings to this county is really going to raise the bar for our department. And then Katie, if you could please stand up. Katie originally came to us as a contract attorney. She started with us helping with our appeals, our writs, our motion writing, and our training. She quickly demonstrated her amazing skill in the legal fields, particularly criminal law. And we were so lucky when she decided to join us full-time as a supervising deputy district attorney. During her tenure as a deputy district attorney, she has taken on multiple homicide cases, both of them being, well, the two I'm thinking of right now, she's taken on more, were high-profile cases that needed a lot of work, one of which is the Nana Jeff case. And she has demonstrated so much skill and patience and dedication to Kings County and ensuring its safety that I can't express my appreciation for her coming to us and becoming our ADA. She's going to bring a degree of professionalism and work on our handbook and bring our lawyers up to an amazing skill set.
Well, thank you to both of you. Would either of you like to speak? Both of you? All right, then. I'll entertain a motion. Oh, before I do, any other questions, comments?
I just to our new chief investigator. I know that there's a lot of former county employees that went to Fresno County DA's office, and
I recruited.
Yeah. You can bring them back home, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Had I known.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
This is just a report only.
Oh, just information only?
Just information.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, hello, Matt.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Assistant CEO, Kings County. So here before your board to consider several different purchases with some money that the county was allocated from the California Public Finance Authority and the California Community Housing Agency, what we refer to as CalPFA and CalCHA. So earlier this year, both of those JPAs allocated the county general fund $6 million. And then on April 14th, we were before your board with a presentation for various options of how to spend that money, for which your board voted to use it towards the Houston Bridge and the Government Center remodel project. We were before your board again on May 19th as we were working through our budget and trying to be fiscally prudent, and as we were trying to figure out maybe a phased-in approach on the Government Center remodel project. For finance reasons, we brought an action item before your board to get that money over into the general fund so it can start earning interest. And so the recommendation before your board at that time was to go ahead and, as we were working our way through all of these processes to finalize everything with the government center remodel project, is to go ahead and move that money into a restricted interest-bearing reserve account. So just for your board's awareness, where it sits right now, it's not earning interest. So we wanted to get that over here to start earning interest. During that meeting, there was a lot of discussion on the dais as to various uses of the money. And so we're back before your board this morning, bringing various options of allocating that fund, allocating those funds with the balance of whatever your board approves, then being designated to the general fund reserves in a restricted interest-bearing account. So I'll just briefly go through the items for consideration this morning, and I'll leave some of the details for the sheriff and the DA if they wanted to expand on some other items. So first, we have we have 2 forensic computers for the DA's office. So right now our DA's office only has 1 forensic computer, and it's extremely old by technology standards. It's 7 years old. And it's my understanding that they operate the only digital forensics lab here in the county. So they support every law enforcement agency that we have. So this request for $174,130 includes 2 forensic computers, all of the necessary support software with that, and the data extraction software that they would actually use. And then moving on to the Sheriff's Department Linco Bearcat, I do have a friendly amendment here this morning, if your board is so agreeable to. The agenda item states that the Linco Bearcat has a quote of $346,666. Just learned this morning in the chambers that that did not include the taxes necessary to procure that piece of equipment. So I'll just bring it before your board as an amendment if you'd like to add an additional $28,600 for the sales tax to take delivery of that vehicle. So that would bring the entire estimate for the Sheriff Linco Bearcat to $375,266. And so our current Bearcat that we have right now in the Sheriff's office, we only have one, and it's 12 years old. And so this is actually a piece of equipment that is meets national tactical standards and supports dual vehicle capabilities. It helps in high risk warrant situations, active threat response, rescue and extraction operations, and is also available to all of those in the region via mutual aid. So the purchase of this Bearcat would now outfit our Sheriff's Department with a second at its disposal. Next on the list here is a body-worn camera and taser purchase for the Sheriff's Department, estimated at $1,246,353, which will replace the current aging Axon equipment that's currently near the end of life. And so the previous batch of body-worn cameras and tasers were funded with a grant from the Department of Justice way back when. And so without funding to get these replaced, the equipment will be end of life here in June of July of this month and next month of the current calendar year. So the project looks to outfit roughly 129 tasers and 110 body-worn cameras. Would also include the necessary software, cloud storage, and maintenance and support for that equipment and those devices. And then the last 3 we have a purchase request for restroom repairs at the Home Garden Community Services District Park. So they have one restroom that was vandalized, and with the coming of the summer months and the expected anticipated use of the facilities with the splash pad, they're requesting that that vandalized bathroom be replaced, so that way they have all fully functioning restrooms there. And then another item here for the Home Garden Community Services District is a 250 kilowatt generator. The existing generator that they have right now currently had a failure back in 2023. And this is the generator that supports their water treatment operations. So moving on to the last item up for consideration for purchase here is a TrueNarc analyzer for the Corcoran Police Department. So this is a device that uses technology to scan drugs for identification purposes. So that way, law enforcement officials don't have to come into direct contact with the drugs to help identify them. So this, prevents the risk of their exposure to some of the harms of handling such drugs. So with that, if all of the purchases outlined this morning were approved by your board, the total of all the purchases, including the amendment with the sales tax of the Linco Bearcat, would be $1,882,046, which with the last recommended action being to place the balance in interest-bearing designated reserve account within the general fund. That amount would be $4,117,954. So with that, the recommendation before your board this morning, and please bear with me as I read this out for the record, is consider approving the purchase of 2 forensic computers, necessary support software, and data extraction software for the district attorney's office. Consider approving the purchase of 1 Linco Bearcat for the sheriff's office. Consider approving the purchase of body-worn cameras and tasers for the sheriff's office. Consider approving the purchase of restroom repairs for the Home Garden Community Services District. Consider approving the purchase of 1 250-kilowatt generator for the Home Garden Community Services District. Consider approving the purchase of 1 thermoscientific TrueNarc Delta handheld analyzer for the City of Corcoran Police Department. Consider approving the remaining balance of money transferred to the county from the California Public Finance Authority and the California Community Housing Agency to an interest-bearing reserve account, and to adopt the budget change. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Take a breath, Matt.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, just transparency. Can you update that remaining balance? I know you.
Yeah, so the remaining balance of the purchase total or the balance in reserves total? Yeah, so with all the purchases that I've outlined this morning, if all approved, what would be transferred into an interest-bearing account in the general fund would be $4,117,954.
Other questions, comments? President there?
No, yeah, I don't have any questions.
Let me ask the audience if we're going to. Any questions or comments from the audience? Chair.
Morning again, Dave Putnam, Kings County Sheriff. Good morning, Supervisor Robinson and members of the board. Just wanted to come before your board just to obviously say that I'm super supportive of the agenda item. I'm supportive of everything listed out by Matthew. Matthew did a great job of articulating the need for a second Bearcat for us, that ours is 12 years old, it's aging. I have my undersheriff, Chris Barstesiano, who is one of the most well-versed tactical experts in the state, and can tell you that exactly what Matthew outlined, that if you have one, you have none. Now that the tactical standard is 2 Bearcats. And so with an aging Bearcat, it presents mechanical vulnerabilities and operational limits and so many things that were articulated. I don't want to get into all those details, but just super supportive. We definitely need that. The example was a month ago where the deputy was killed, and it's still, even with all the proper equipment, it's still a dangerous assignment, serving search warrants and rescuing the public like that. Also super supportive of body cameras and tasers and literally everything on this agenda item. It makes perfect sense to me. Great use of funds. We're in this modern era where if we went backwards to not using body cameras, the liability that we would expose ourselves to is just unfathomable. The tasers is a significant use of in the force continuum and the less lethal era that has proved to save many lives, and a less de-escalation tool that we've used successfully hundreds of times, hundreds of examples. So I'm here to answer any questions that may have came up from this agenda item, but just also to articulate that super supportive of the entire item. Thank you.
Supervisor Verboen.
Yes, thank you. So this is the third time we've talked about this item here. Seems like people keep tacking on stuff as we go along. My personal thoughts stay the same. We worked on this years ago. I took Michael LaPierre and Scott Carper with Larry Spikes to understand what this meant and what we can do with it. I just find it's still it's a stick up. It's an assault that they just see that they can come get this money. I don't have a problem supporting my sheriff. I would have rather known that we needed this stuff earlier in the year, so I could have made a trip to D.C. to the Department of Justice and find more money for them and do it the proper way, or use the state legislation to help us out as well. My thoughts from the beginning of this, putting this money away, was to improve our facilities on the campus and improve the future of our constituents that pay taxes in here. I'm not against the sheriff. I was unaware of the DA. I think she deserved me a phone call. I've been here long enough that she should have called me. And so therefore, I'll be a no vote on this. And, I asked the administration if we could vote on this stuff separately. They put it in one group. So I'm a no. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the longevity of a Bearcat? And explain what a Bearcat is, because until recently, I didn't know what one is.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up my absolute expert in the field, my Undersheriff Chris Barstesian. Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Robinson, board members, Chris Barstesiano, Undersheriff, Kings County Sheriff's Office. Thank you so much for your great question. The mechanical and tactical longevity of a Bearcat, it's approximately 5 years. Ours is 12. It's not just the mechanical aspect of the Bearcat, but the armor itself. The armor that it's on that Bearcat, as we saw, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago in Tulare County, that armor fell. Those rounds went through. They had 4 pieces of armor at that location. We currently have 1. We have a county that's over 1,300 square feet. If we have an operation, as we did just 2 days ago, on the north side of the county, and God forbid we have something else happening on the south side, it's going to take us some time to get to that location. But to answer your question, it's approximately 5 years.
Gotcha. So Supervisor Verboen and I, we go back to DC. I go once, he goes twice. How come these asks weren't given to us so we could ask Valadeo and powers that be? Hurtado?
Would you like me to answer that? I'll be happy to answer that. We initially, at the sheriff advice, I did propose some of those items to be brought up to attempt to ask for the money. However, we were contacted by county admin, and at the time we're told that at this moment, those are not necessarily items that come in line with the overall goal of the county at this point. It's also worth mentioning that several years ago, I did apply for a grant. Assistant Sheriff Robert Thayer was at the time there, and Sheriff Putnam. The grant was granted for $250,000 by Congressman Valadeo's office. That money was utilized to purchase vehicles for the sheriff's office. So we did in the past apply for a grant. We were successful. But as you all know, getting those grants, unfortunately, it took me a couple of years to get the money. And then to spend it, I believe, was about a 3-year life spent on that money itself. Hopefully that answered your question.
And then
I want to expand upon that too.
Please.
If you don't mind, sir. Just the attempt to stay consistent with the LEDGE platform, work closely with county admin, and there was a lot of discussion on these needs, especially the body cams and the tasers, trying to incorporate that into the budget. And then when this came up, there was a potential additional funding source that could save general funds for the additional expenses in the county. So I think the answer, though, is just to try to stay consistent with admin and make sure that the legislative platform, we've had many of these discussions, and it's a great way to address it with our legislators at a federal level. But so many times there's a county match involved. If we were granted some grant funds, but there was a county match involved, and then it comes into budget discussions with admin. How are we going to fund the county's portion? Is that sustainable? And so there was just a lot of conversation, and the way that this was brought about actually came forward rather quickly. And so, it was kind of one of those where you pivot. These are true needs, and let's see if this is the best way to fund those needs. So wasn't trying to, I want to be in good communication, not trying to backdoor anybody, and work together with everybody in admin and everybody on the board. So that's kind of how it came about. It like Soup Verboon says multiple times, it happened relatively quick. So, but I just think we needed to be flexible and pivot and see if this was a way to address some of our critical equipment needs.
The original Bearcat that got retired, how long did we have that one?
So going back several years ago, we did not have an armored vehicle. We had a old fire truck that we utilize for tactical operations. Later on, we're able and successfully are able to gather an old Peacekeeper through the 1033 program. That Peacekeeper was not sustainable. The engine literally gave up on us during the mission. Therefore, this Bearcat came to tuition about 12 years ago. Sheriff Robinson at the time and the board were very supportive in getting that piece of equipment for us.
And I'll just add to that, Mr. Chair, that I was part of that discussion with Larry Spikes back in the day, back when what is now Carrier's office, and for multiple hours of time on that original Bearcat, because that was the first one this county's ever received. And so many of those discussion topics then, and I say today, and I hope Super Boone would reconsider a no vote on this, just because of the fact that sitting back in this conference room, Chris is the one, the sheriff is the one who, when these calls come in, man, we're sending human beings out into the line of fire. And we saw it up at Brad John's house. Guy from a second-story building shooting at law enforcement. Thank God none of us got hit that day. But standing a half mile away and you hear rounds cranking off, that every one of those can hit a cop. And with that, even prior to the North County incident, we went through our local Office of Emergency Service, because there was there's annual money that goes from the Department of Homeland Security, and we originally had tapped that as a funding source over the course of many years. Like, they just keep adding, $100 grand, $50 grand, or whatever to an account, to a point in time where you could actually make the purchase and not disrupt the general fund. The original Bearcat disrupted the general fund, but it was well overdue and necessary. And this one is the same thing. And the only reason that was brought forward in this case is because, for my own investigative resource, after I retired from the sheriff's office, the Homeland Security money that was originally tapped to help purchase a future Bearcat went away to some other need. And our role as supervisors is to identify funding sources. And this stuff all happens quickly. I mean, it's snappy. I didn't learn about the Homeland Security money disappearing for the Bearcat until, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And so when we were back in DC, there was no time for that. There was no time to go and sit in Valadeo's office or Fong's office and be like, hey, we need, $500,000 for a piece of armor. And our role is to identify funding sources, and this is one. And things happen, and sometimes it's like throwing water on a fire. Sometimes the fire is over here to our right, and that's where we direct our hose. And sometimes it moves, and we've got to direct it over here. And that's why this came to be. And the morning that we had the discussion, well, within the time frame of the discussion of the original, what we were going to do with this Cal PFA money, I had conversations with our undersheriff about this, and learned through even back into our fiscal analyst at the sheriff's office, like, hey, what happened to this Homeland Security money? And it was redirected, which opens up this avenue for that. We have an obligation to our public safety to fund this stuff. And there's still $4 million left to go towards betterment of county resources or whatever. But right now there's a need, and it's not going to impact the general fund. And would just respectfully that this board would approve that this stuff is all public safety stuff. There's stuff that are down in home gardens. I said it a few weeks ago that supports of our poor communities. And they deserve representation too. And again, this is stuff it's not impacting the general fund, and that's why I'm in support of it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments? Anybody in the audience that would like to comment? Madam DA?
Address the board very briefly. The computers, first of all, I want to talk about the computers and how they wound up on this agenda item. Initially, they were included in our proposed budget. That budget was initially approved by admin. It was subsequent to that, we found out through later budget discussions that those items were not going to be available to us to purchase. Up until very recently, I've been in open communications with Matt, advocating to include that back into our general fund. And it has been a hesitation for our office to include it in this package because we understand that there's a lot of things that are needed by the county. But for the importance of these items, we wouldn't have made this ask. I did want to turn it over to our chief investigator. He was in charge of creating a cell phone extraction lab in Fresno, and he has a lot of information about how important these items are and why they are needed by the DA's office.
Mr. McPherson.
Yeah, Chairman, members. Cell phone extraction is key to almost every criminal investigation. We touch at least 10 to 15 phones per week. And if we don't get those extractions, we don't make cases. Many of the crimes that are committed, homicides, cold cases, are tracked back to extracted phones and the information coming out of those phones. So if we don't get this equipment, it's 7 years old. Now, technology moves at the speed of light. So if we don't have computers to do the job, it's going to affect every law enforcement agency in the county. And it's going to affect the citizens because we're not going to be able to make those cases. So this is important. This equipment is probably one of the most important things we can get for our office for making our cases. So I hope it's a yes vote on the equipment that we need. Thanks. If you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Supervisor Rubin.
Yeah, just for clarification, I'm okay with some of these items. I'm not okay with the avenue it went down, but we can work on that later. I requested that these be put on separately. We can vote on each one separately. I refuse to vote on them all as one, 8 items as one vote. I feel the need I support my sheriff, but at the same time, there's other stuff in there that I think is not in my purview, I guess. So my deal would be each one separate, and that way we can choose what we want and move on with this. And yeah, I'm not against what the sheriff's doing. I'm against the way it went around. And I just texted the DA, and I was, she could have called me easily, explained it to me. And so, I don't do this for fun, and I deserve a little respect. And so that's why I'm a no if we all vote at all 8 at one time. Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience? Sheriff.
Yes, and thank you. And just to clarify, the body cameras and the tasers, we initially attempted to include in our budget as well. And then I think it was just a collaboration between my department and administration to see if this was a additional funding source that could save some general fund dollars. So we have other options, and we tried to include those in our budget. And Axon's good about financing over 5, 6, 7 years, but then you pay interest, and so there's other options. But it's just important to note that was a part of our original budget request as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Valley.
I think it'd be important if we hear from either CEO or uh, Mr. Boyette as well on to represent that $4.1 million and what that would mean to get that in an interest-bearing account today. How much that interest would make per day, to put in perspective how we can start earning back some of this money that we would be spending today, that we should be spending today. So can we hear a little bit about that? Because that's an item too. I don't want it to be taken for granted that it's just something that would happen naturally. Also, policy-wise, we could take all of these up one by one. Okay. If we took them all up one by one, and there were some no votes on some of these, when we got down to item H, adopt the budget change, if there's not if you fail to meet the 4/5 vote requirement, then all those other votes are moot point. They go away. So that's probably why a recommendation of one vote for all these items will move forward. But policy-wise, that's important to note too. It just wouldn't happen. You can't pass 3 of these and then get to item H and lose your 4/5 vote, as you did 2 times already. And then it would be a moot point. So trying to save time to the board. Well, thank you.
Matt, you want to answer some of the questions about the interest bearing?
I think there's a question. I don't know if you want to take Supervisor Verboen. We're trying to calculate the numbers as we speak. Eric will walk up here right now.
Supervisor Verboen.
Yeah, like I said, I would love to vote on them separately. I don't think I should support a couple of the items on here, not with this money. And yeah, I'm not against what you guys are defending. I think the sheriff is defending well, but I'm not against. I've talked to him on the phone. I'm not going to fight with my sheriff. So I'm good with that. I just don't see. I don't want to support a couple items on there. I mean, I've been in meetings for 16 years with Supervisor Valley, and if a member of a public that's receiving something and is not present, he doesn't like to see that. And I got Home Gardens and Corcoran PD here wanting something, and I haven't heard them speak as well. So, or they have not called me at the same time. So, and everybody heard me the last 2 times I spoke on this item. So, that's just my thoughts. Not trying to fight with anybody, not trying to show any disrespect, just trying to say this is how I've been doing it for 16 years. I've had other board members request certain things. If you're asking for something, you need to be present and you need to explain it to us very carefully. And I think our sheriff's done that. And I think our DA has done that as well. But the rest of them, I just think they're just hitching a ride and trying to get something for free without doing any of the homework themselves. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will take just a second. Just to say, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone episode here, based on some of the remarks that you opened up with that we already covered, especially based on my colleague Supervisor Verboen's comments about Corcoran and Home Garden not being here. They were here in these seats for hours. 2 weeks ago, they came to the podium. They spoke. For this item, honestly, to bring it back, I was hoping, now I was praying that we were going to have some leadership here, some compassion, some open mind, and a quick item here. I wasn't going to plan to speak. I actually asked the chief and the Home Garden rep to stand down today because I didn't want to take up the board's time and re-say everything that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. Because I was actually positive that as we got to this point, we could just had a quick item and moved on and get the win of what Mr. Boyette is probably going to speak about of over $4 million into an interest-bearing account. So I would say let's take the next couple of minutes. Let's take some deep breaths. And so when we get to this vote, let's see if we are going to be productive and put our money where our mouth is when we all campaign and talk about public safety and asking for sheriff's endorsements and all that other stuff and endorsements from Deputy Sheriff's Association. And let's take all of that and let's just think and let's see about getting to a vote where everybody wins. There's no losers here. There's no, hey, we won, you lost. This is a win for everybody. So I'll put a pause on the rest of my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Matt, get some more information.
Yes. So obviously, investment rates fluctuate constantly, but where we're at right now, if we extrapolated the $4.1 million for an entire year, you're looking at roughly $475 to $483 per day. Extrapolated throughout a year, you're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 175 to 176,000 with what that balance would be doing. And again, markets fluctuate, but it's what we're looking at as of today.
Very good. Rose?
Yeah. Sorry.
Nope.
Rosemary Rand, Department of Public Health. I just want to make a comment about infrastructure costs. I'm in a department where I'm paying a lease. I'm paying $1 million every year with a 3% inflator, and I don't have a home for my department. Our staff's getting discouraged, and they need a place. We don't even have a negative pressure room to do TB cases. So whatever support for infrastructure for our department, I would really appreciate. Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience have anything?
I would like to say something about the bathrooms in Home Guard.
Bobby,
that bathroom does need to be fixed.
Bobby,
okay.
Take the mic, please.
Sorry.
No.
No, that bathroom does need to be fixed because it makes no sense to have two bathrooms out there. You got a line of people waiting to use one. For my mother lived out in Home Garden, and Mother's Day they always do something out there, picnic, something. But Mother's Day they did something for her, and they all talked about going to the park. They like to wait till the last minute to make decisions. I want to know what I'm going to do ahead of time. So my sister and I, we went to Panier, somewhere her son took us, but we went back to Home Garden after we finished. There's people waiting to get in the bathroom, and there was a line, and then there's one bathroom, the door is locked that you can't even use it, but it makes no sense to have two bathrooms and you can't use one of them. The water goes off at, I don't know, the kids were playing in the water and it went off, I think around 4 o'clock, but that bathroom do need to be fixed. That shouldn't even be a discussion to have a bathroom that's not working. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff.
Sorry for taking up so much time. Just one more comment real quick. If this item should fail today, I just want to reiterate how important the body cameras. I don't want to go backwards and stop wearing body cameras. So if this item fails today, my request is we have to put body cameras and tasers back into my general fund budget. I just want to make that a comment, and I don't think any of you five would be against that unless, and I want the deputy sheriffs in Kings County to wear body cameras unless the five of you gentlemen on a majority vote tell us we're not going to include that in our budget. Just wanted to make that perfectly clear. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the audience before we go? Supervisor Valley, did you have something to say?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Well, Mr. Chair, going back, I just took some notes on a couple of your concerns where, you asked, and it's been asked multiple times, why this wasn't brought up earlier in the year when you make your trips to DC, which, by the way, every time you and Super Boone go to Washington, DC, the first thing I say is thank you, because that's a lot of work. You got to leave your families, you got to get on a plane, you got to go there. That's work. And much appreciated. But before you guys go, don't forget, we vote on what the priorities are going to be. So you have 100% backing of the Board of Supervisors when you go meet those elected officials and you're having those important meetings. And so the board voted on the priorities for you and Super Boone to carry, and two of those items were for your district. And we all cast yes votes for you. So that support there, I would hope that you would recognize that. And as far as the Bobcat, that came out not by these gentlemen who are being questioned and grilled at the podium. Supervisor Thayer championed that. And I'm very happy that he did, because remember when he first brought it up, it was a few days after the Tulare County deputy that took around to the head and And we've seen since then, we've seen the footage of what it was like inside those Bearcats on that day, and seeing the officers and deputies in those Bearcats taking rounds to their windshield, and just ultimately seeing how they were able to stop that conflict, but stopping it again, sadly, after a deputy passed away. So I would hope that you just take that and put that in perspective on how we got here. Even if you carried this to DC, how many government shutdowns have we had since January? Or even late last year when I went on the honor flight in October to DC. Yeah, we got to go on the floor of the House, and the speaker came out. But guess what? There wasn't a soul in the building because there was a government shutdown. There was no one there working. There was no elected officials in the building. The veterans on that, we were impacted because of memorials we couldn't even go visit on the flight because of the government shutdown. 2 weeks ago, the Madam CEO, myself, Supervisor Verboon, Supervisor Thayer, we sat in the office with Assemblywoman Macedo. Supervisor Verboon took the time in that meeting. He asked her if she can help with funding for the Bobcat and some items that I had brought to the board's attention. We haven't heard anything from the Assemblywoman since then, and I say that respectfully because she is just not going to be able to deliver that. It's a fact of life. The speaker is a Democrat. The Democrats the majority party. The speaker is not going to give any Republican more than $1 million per cycle, much less let them pass any kind of legislation that is actually important. We're not going to give any Republican an opportunity to come home and take victory laps and try to get reelected with that. That's sad, but it's a fact of life. So my point is, and then don't forget, as we sat there in CSAT, we all heard what this budget looks like and the impacts that the counties are going to have. And the message that I think we all received those 3 days in Sacramento was that the cavalry is not coming. And no one's going to come and save the day at the county level. And we need to brace for the impacts. And that's not fair to us, but we're all going to have to live with that. So my point of me saying that is we have $6 million that we earned. This money didn't just fall from the sky. I've been here since the conception of this public finance authority. And as I said before, when we meet here, no one's in the audience. If they were, they would know the amount of votes we've taken to beautify the state of California and the buildings we've helped build and things just like this that we have helped fund up and down the 58 counties of this state. And we have an opportunity here with this money that we've earned from 100 of them meetings to do something good here. The majority of it is for public safety. You just congratulated a Kings County Sheriff Deputy for being the Employee of the Year. You told him to be safe. Let's back that up with a vote here today, sir. We're going to need 4 votes here to move forward. Not to mention the win for the county. And I know how you are fiscally, and I'm there with you. You know, I'm very conservative with taxpayer dollars. We're going to get over $4 million here in an interest-bearing account that will start putting some of this money back. Again, I wasn't looking to have too much dialogue here today. I want to be respectful, but it's like something was said 2 weeks ago, try to honor it. And then today it's reverse. And so at this point, I don't know what to do, but if we're just going to sit here and go through the drill and this money does not go anywhere today, I think I read in this background that if this money is failed to be transferred to an interest-bearing account, that it's just going to magically appear in the general fund and will be put out for other items. And I will fight that. We're going to, in any fiscal statement on these background reports, I'll demand that money is identified as revenue from Cal PFA, because we're not going to skirt around this that way either. We want to be transparent to the taxpayers of Kings County. And lastly, I just want to say to law enforcement, don't ever apologize when you're at the podium and you're asking, Madam DA, you got nothing to apologize here for. You gentlemen have nothing to apologize here for. If we are here, it's for public safety, for anything else. In hard times, everything else is bells and whistles, and it could go out the door. Let's put it money where our mouth is today, Mr. Chairman. Respectfully ask for yes votes. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, I think a couple of things. You know, in the 2 weeks that we've been arguing about this money, we lost about $10,000, about $711 a day. We could have realized that interest on some of these projects. I look at the Bearcat. I think it's a great piece of equipment. 18-month delivery. So I appreciate all of the compassion, but you know, that money sitting in an interest-bearing account could have paid for it in that period of time. I look at the home garden generator, $47,000. It's very important to an organization. It's been out since 2023. That's not a current occurrence, and you can rent those things a lot cheaper than you can buy them, and then you have to fight with the air board every time to try to get them certified and keep them moving. So I don't understand. I understand the importance of equipment, especially in a special district. But I think that I also want to respect the price of money and the value of money. And I think by having, you know, 35 years ago when I was in Stratford, I just put all the hookups in and then just reserved, you know, a rental piece of equipment that I didn't have to buy, I didn't have to maintain, I didn't have to clean it up. All I had to do was go over there and plug it in if I needed. So I appreciate, and I think Supervisor Raboon is correct, but you know, I think the threats that have been at this board today, if we don't get everything we want, well, we're not going to put it in an interest-bearing account. Well, we've lost $10,000 in the last 2 weeks. You know, if that's what you want to live with, that's fine.
Respectfully from a colleague, that's what CSD's been doing. They have been renting, and I think the home garden representative who was here a couple of weeks ago put that point out, but it's just fiscally that's not balancing out. And again, to be respectful for the board, they wouldn't even allow me to ask for a brand new generator, which was going to be about 3 times more. They said, hey, we'll live with a used one if the county will help with the used one. Interest, hell yeah, I could live with that. I could live with the fact that we've lost $10,000 because we failed to move. What I can't live with is one of ours, or a Corcoran police officer or a Lemoore officer dying in the line of duty because we failed to act today. Thank you.
I just one more thing, sir. Supervisor Neves brought up a good point, and if I recall correctly, and the undersheriff or the sheriff can talk about it, that I think there is an initial, maybe a deposit that gets put down, but it's significantly not the entire $360 some odd thousand. So that money is still going to be sitting in an interest-bearing account, gaining interest until this rig is completed. You know, one cycle of a handful of cycles of interest hitting these accounts are going to more than pay for the stuff that's going on down in home gardens. And I'll just kind of reiterate, you know, with Supervisor Valley, this is a 4/5 vote. So is the county budget, and I'm here to say that I take this seriously. I take A through H, and I'm not going to stand in front of any of you other board members. I'm not going to stand against any of you who have a project in your community, in your district that you support and that you've identified funding for, I'm going to always back you 100% of the time, whether I agree with your project or not. Is irrelevant. Who am I to stand in the way of, wells or whatever's going on in the community of Armona that you've advocated for and this board's advocated for, and that we were successful in receiving millions of dollars from Washington, D.C. I'm never going to stand in the way as a no vote against anything that we've had identifying structure. And I mean this with all due respect for all you gentlemen up here. Hearing that there's potentials of no vote is very concerning to me, because we're going to tie up government in and of itself, and it's not an idle threat. It's that this stuff has been through. This is the third time now, and like Super Boone said, and now we've added to it. So, we're ultimately at the end of the day, this is a pot of money that we can bring into this county. We can make adjustments if we have to carve out stuff later, back to direction with county admin to repair DA and body cams and this other stuff. We can do that at another time. But I think our community is waiting for a decision on this, and I know in a handful of weeks there's going to be a budget before us. That quite frankly, if this doesn't get approved through today, I'm going to be a no vote on that, and we'll sit without a county budget. At least one of 5 will be a no vote on it.
Two.
At the end of the day, it's just cost of doing business. And I just ask that these others who may be a potential no vote just to reconsider. Whether you're a no vote or a yes vote on this, if you're a no vote on it, I'm still not going to stand in the way of projects back into your districts. That's just the point that I come from. And with that, I don't know if this is the time and the place to do it, but would like to make a motion that we approve as listed on this agenda, and we'll see where the chips fall.
Supervisor Verboen.
Yes, so I'm going to second that, but I'm going to have a comment in the meantime. I don't like being threatened, and you actually went against our project for infrastructure to put your project ahead of ours. So you did set the tone for the future, and threatening us not to vote for a budget when it has not presented is not quite right. You don't know that I'm a yes or no. I'm a no the way it was presented. I might be a yes today, and I just seconded it. So we'll see how it comes out. Thank you.
Any other comments? My comment is, I was in private business for 28 years. I built budgets from scratch and been off by less than 5% when I did it. I don't like this process. There's a process to this. I didn't know what a Bearcat was until a couple of weeks ago. I had to reach out to ex-Sheriff Robinson, right, to find out about a Bearcat. I should have known the insides outs of this, because we have interaction with them, not when we're back in DC, not just when we're in Sacramento. They're on my phone and I talk to them. So these are things that, I would like to support it. I would like to support it the right way. Same with the DA. I'd like to support those things. Those are good things. I'd like to know in advance though, too. Not this pivot situation that we're talking about. We're in tough budget times. In the outside world, they've known that for quite some time. Retail's been down for 3 years, right? How many farmers do you know that are making money right now? Maybe the beef guys. Everybody else is sucking wind. And yet, we don't seem to be communicating that effectively here. So, that being said, there's a motion on the table.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, I asked earlier for Madam CEO to kind of hit on a point that you just questioned on. Can you put in perspective why these items would be helpful to the relief to the budget this summer by using some of this Cal PFA revenue and any ease that it would have on your current general fund restraints that we're all dealing with right now?
Currently, the sheriff's office has in their budget the body-worn cameras and tasers at $1.2 million. They have a request in their budget, and it's currently built in through a recommended budget. The recommended budget is not final. However, if the board were to approve this purchase, that would alleviate the general fund from that purchase. The sheriff was very clear to us that he would not remove that item from their budget. And respectfully so, it's an important item. We agreed, and that's why we included it in the recommended budget.
So thank you. So again, because you and your staff put this out and recommended, this is just not, like, as you said, these aren't two items from the DA and the sheriff's office that just naturally appeared. These are items that would be up for vote come August anyways, and now just moving them over and using the Cal PFA revenue that we can build back with the interest, right? It will make things easier on your overall budget. We're talking about already 10% cuts to department heads, and the other things we're going to be dealing with, what we heard in CSAC, right? And based on the governor's May revise that didn't have relief that we were hoping and praying for to the counties. And so I'll wrap up with this because me and you are in alignment with one thing. I was honest. The first time Seat there brought up the issue of the Bearcat, I didn't know what it was either until I saw it on the news that night and what was happening. But I don't feel like I feel blessed that I don't know what it is, because I'm blessed that I don't know what they know. I'm blessed that I could walk around naively and go to Applebee's or to a bar and grill and not know what they know, that how dangerous it is around here, and that someone is probably packing a gun in that restaurant while I'm in there relaxing with my family. The things these men and women know, I'm blessed that I don't know them things.
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Verboen.
we have a motion and a second. We've had one for the last 7 minutes. Can we call the vote?
Okay, we can call the vote. I think, Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
No.
Robert Thayer.
Yes.
Okay, real good. So we will move it along and we'll go into supervisor notes. So we'll start off with Supervisor Nevs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kings Federal Credit Union Supervisor meeting held on the 19th. The audit being conducted and reports are being reviewed. Lemoore High School softball continued with the Shafter team visiting Lemoore. Calviva meeting held on the 21st in Fresno. All reports were reviewed, and 2026-27 budget was reviewed for action and moved forward to the full board. The full board also met on the 21st with all items removed and approved, and the enrollment stands at 319,000 souls in March of 2026, down from 432,000 in March of 25, which is still a 66% market share for the region. Kings County enrollments at 38,000 in March of 26, and still 38,329 down to from 38,595. Which is still a 55% market share in the county. Next board meeting up there will be July 16th. South Fork Kings also held a meeting on the 21st with the water meter policy and procedure up for discussion. There were a lot of questions, and it'll return in June if they clean it up. When all other items were removed, were discussed and approved. Lemoore High School took the field again against Mission Prep, a college high school from San Luis Obispo, on Friday the 22nd in the semifinal round of the 26th CIF Central Section Softball Championship Division 4. The Tigers ended their season with a record of 21 wins, 9 losses, 1 tie, and Coach Boogie Makakau being named the West Yosemite Coach of the Year. The 35th annual Corky and Edith McFarland Veterans Memorial Day celebration at Grangeville Cemetery took place on the 15th. 1,040 flags were displayed, with 10 new ones being posted, with one of them being John Radford's. The Housing Authority held a special meeting on the 26th to review the single audit financial statement, and the organization is back in good financial shape and back online for audits. King Waste and Recycling had a meeting on the 27th also with a study session, and with the study session being planned for June 18th and the regular meeting on the 24th. The LAFCO meeting was held also on the 27th with the 26-27 budget being approved. The May meeting of the CART was also held on the 27th. The fixed route changes were discussed and approved, and the capital improvement programs were reviewed and discussed, along with the safety plan for 2026. The van pool continues to operate with 64 vans serving Kings County's needs. The Association of Governments also held a meeting on the 27th with the Transportation Development Act review. Unmet transit needs public hearing was closed, and that action will come back at a later date. Financial reports were reviewed, and Department of Finance population estimates were presented. San Joaquin Valley Voice Trip was also discussed and approved. Thursday night market was rained out on the 28th. It's hard to imagine, but it rained. American Legion had their breakfast on the 29th. The MIQ dinner was on May 30th. Beautiful weather, great food, wonderful evening. On the King Symphony also held a concert in the park on Sunday, May 31st. Again, another beautiful evening and great music and some wonderful ice cream. And then a special meeting was held yesterday, the Kings County Behavioral Health Board, to make up for May's meeting because it fell on Memorial Day. Public hearing was closed out for the Behavioral Health Services Integrated Plan, which will come back to this board later this month. The Behavioral Health Advisory Board retreat was also reported out on, and the Medi-Cal drug organized delivery system for substance abuse was also reviewed. With that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Thayer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. After our last board meeting, it's been a couple weeks. I know we were dark last week. I traveled to Sacramento with at least 4 of us up here and did a lot of hobnobbing. Met with Senator Hurtado's staff. She got called away. And then the next day with Ali Macedo's office, as well, I'll just say it to the public so they can hear it. The language coming from Sacramento is that, there's no help coming, doom and gloom, and some significant issues that are impacting California. I do give a shout out to Supervisor Verboon. Obviously, he's well known in the CSAC community, and in a very large conference room. I was getting ready to step out until I saw he had a microphone in his hand, and I was like, I gotta watch this, and I did. And he said things that a lot of people in that room 100% agree with, but don't always just stand up and do it. But Supervisor Verboon did that. He represented our county very well. I'm sure it ruffled a lot of feathers through many other counties, but it's just things that need to be said about how California's economy works, how business is what drives that, and when business gets steamrolled, they stop investing locally, and that just impacts everybody's dollars. And so shout out to him, and then also with Supervisor Robinson, who I know he was hitting up Graham Noss, the director, about having a fair piece of representation when CSAC takes the stage. There's 58 counties, and maybe 6 of them are really over the line in a different direction, and the remainders of them probably more aligned with the general public and what we do. And thank you, Sue Robinson, for calling that out to Graham. I know he's got a hard job, but thank you for that. I don't know if any other supervisors up here have been fielding phone calls about the proposed data center that's currently out at NES Lemoore. I've done some homework on it. That there's some community members that aren't well pleased on it. I've tried to do some research on it. Basically, what I was given was some links to prior public, information notices that were sent out to the media. And then Tuesday, as Supervisor Nebbs mentioned, on the 26th, attended the local housing authority special meeting. And then also Tuesday evening, I was invited to speak at the local Jimmy Carter Club on issues that are impacting Kings County. Part of it was the data center out in Lemoore. at NAS Lemoore. Then Wednesday, the Kings Waste Recycle Authority meeting with Supervisor Neves. And then after that Thursday, now don't judge me on this too terribly, but on Thursday for my wife's birthday, we flew out to Savannah, Georgia to attend Rock the Country Music Festival, where we got to see Kid Rock and Jelly Roll. And Georgia has plenty of water. By the way, it fell from the sky most of the time we were there. And I learned about Georgia mud. And so far, probably because, I don't know, so far Enterprise Rent-A-Car hasn't billed me anything additional to clean the interior of our car out. But we made it back safe. Some of the dumb things we do to fly out across the country for 2 days, but, you know, wife wanted to go. So happy birthday to her too, by the way. And then yesterday attended an internal county meeting regarding fire services, as well with our Department of Finance. Eric, thank you. And Rob, spent a couple hours back in our conference room, just getting an education. And then also, you know, over the course of the last couple of weeks, just helping a constituent with land use issues and, you know, bothering Chuck back there for information. And thanks, Chuck, for the help on that. And with that, that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Bell.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just for the record, I did attend CSAC with you guys as well, and went through those meetings and did our advocacy as well. One of the meetings was with our Latino caucus of California counties, where we had the speaker there with us for about 30 minutes. And again, I do appreciate his honesty. He was very respectful, but he did look us in the eye to tell us that, you know, that the cavalry was not going to come again, to keep using the same words, but that was a message that was stressed there. And so I didn't leave with any kind of feeling of hope from this trip. And the suit there said it's important that people in Kings County are aware of that. And so as we start dealing with these things, the other thing that was touched on is how, as you know, we're the electeds on the ground floor. Those senators and the assembly members can make all these cuts, give us the headaches, but then they're up there, and we're the ones here back at home. And you know, getting an earful in aisle 7 in the grocery store, or when you go into a restaurant and you think you're going to eat and enjoy some relaxing time with your family, we're the ones who hear that. And because of that, the level of dangers to local elected officials has increased. Where the next morning, then we had about an hour and a half conversation on what that means, and to hear one county supervisor who stood up before all of us and said that, let's say she was renewing her homeowner's insurance or her life insurance, and she checked the box. There's a box. Are you a celebrity or are you an elected official?
Umbrella insurance.
Umbrella. And she checked elected official, and they would not renew her license, because they said right now local elected officials, the danger levels through insurance, they look at it as the equivalent of somebody's jumping out of airplanes for a living, skydiving, things like that. And so they stress the importance of working with our local sheriff's department, to have them around when you go to town halls, or to make sure they know where you're at, and kind of lower your level of where we like to be transparent, but is this time to not tell people where you're at? And to hear state advice to tell us, if you're going to do a town hall, don't even announce it in 48 or 24 hours before you hold it. Where I come from, the background, hey, we're going to have a town hall in 3 weeks, and let's go door to door and give these flyers. Let's let everyone know we're coming. That's just crazy to hear that kind of training. But it's a reality of, again, these things happen in DC and SAC, but we're the ones here, city council members, county supervisors, school board members, and we're the ones here taking the brunt of the anger of local folks. So we just all got to keep that in mind and work together and try and not take that as something to be afraid of or shy away from, but lean into it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Supervisor Verboen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my apologies for not being there today. Had a family emergency. Might be here for a while. Also attended CSAC. As you know, earlier this year, I was appointed as Vice Chair of Ag and Natural Resources and Water, which we call A&W. So it was my first time sitting on the dais making a presentation. So 2 sessions we did, part 1, part 2. Part 1 was on basically mountain communities with pathways that they use to help clean up the forestry and clean up the debris so we have less chance of fire. Second part was on water, so we had State Water Resource Control Board and Department of Water Resources there. And also I had Ali Macedo and Stephen Bennett, a assembly member from Ventura County. State Water Resource Control Board basically talked about all the great things they're doing to help out the communities and how hard they're working. And it was set up in a way where you couldn't ask any questions, but I had the microphone to start my segment. And I said I was insulted by what they stated because they refused to work with us for 23 months. And so I just kind of, it's tough going to these events like this because we're so outnumbered and we feel like we got so many people pushing against our way of life. And so sometimes you have to speak up and speak what's on your mind. And it's amazing the people that are on your side but don't have the ability or want to speak up out loud. So hopefully we made a difference. I think it was a good event. Also had an Amtrak Gold Runner board meeting a little over a week and a half ago. And, just trying to take care of things here with my family. And so I'm going to miss out on the RCRC event starting tomorrow. So Supervisor Robinson, it's all in your hands. They won't refund my money for my room. So if you got someone you want to take, I got a room available. So I'm going to lose my deposit. So anyway, I don't know what else I did. I did a bunch of stuff, but I did it. So this is for Supervisor Joe Neves. I did attend my first Portuguese celebration. I did not eat soupish and I did not go into the church, but I did go in the parade and have a Bloody Mary. So life was good. So thank you.
Soapish, not soupish. Good luck with your mom, Supervisor. All right. I too attended the CSAC, and kudos to Ali Macedo. She did a really good job representing the Valley. She was under a little pressure there because Stephen Bennett was also there giving the opposition side, and that's fine. But she did a good job explaining the area, the fallowing, and some of the problems associated with that. So thank you to her. Also, CEO Martinez and I went back to the Capitol, and we spent a little bit of time with one of the secretaries of the governor. And one of the questions I asked her was, high-speed rail is your number one priority in terms of financially. Do you know what wildfire mitigation is? Number 22. So I said, those figures are prior to the May revise. So I'd like to find out where that landed and where are we headed. And she said, you're exactly right. And we'll be putting more money into that. I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, so supposedly they're going to take another look at the wildfire mitigation aspect of it. So we'll see. Let's see, on Wednesday, I met with John Corcoran and the Reading Road Board in regards to AI and evidence-based learning. John Corcoran's happens to be an uncle of mine, but he's published quite a few books, and he used to work for Barbara Bush, and so he's heavily involved in that aspect. And a lot of the schools are currently using that training here in Kings County. So this is kind of the next step. They're trying to use AI in the system. Also, Thursday, thanks to the Farm Bureau for inviting me. They invited Senator Schiff to come and speak to us. And anytime we get an invite like that, we use the opportunity to talk about water. So water. He wanted to know what inputs we could do to the Farm Bill. We discussed some of that. But a lot of it was just educating him with the whole system, the whole region. We have 2 million acres. We're going to fallow 1 million acres. We're going from $30,000 an acre and selling at $6,000. You're going to end up with the Dust Bowl if you're not careful, or if you don't shave down the weeds, we have a wildfire hazard. So we went over Pine Flat. We went over all the water stuff that you would think of. I am appreciative that he took the time to come here, and he sent his assistant again today for the award. So I'm appreciative of that. I hope that he takes it to heart because it's a serious threat. Let's see. Saturday, finally cleaned up all my yard signs across Armona and Hanford. I was starting to feel like a litter bug. So I'm glad that's all taken care of. Madam CEO?
Hey, Mr. Chair, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add one more thing to there, what Supervisor Thayer said about the data centers. So I've been doing some research, and we don't know enough about the impacts what they have. So we should probably do a study session. I know we've done it at RCRC and we did it at NACO, and there's a lot of misunderstanding what's going on out there. One thing I did develop, I found out on Saturday, was there was a post on social media and it spread to other sites. It was fake. It was created by someone on social media. He made a flyer that looked official by the Navy and talked about how they're going to put water through the system. So there's a lot of false information out there. We have I think there's one of the news networks that we have in town here, and our legitimate Hanford Sentinel. They don't have proper information being delivered to the community, creating anxiety and creating a problem. So we should probably look at maybe having a workshop so we have a good understanding of the facts in front of us before we make a decision. So the guy that made the flyer, he may be sued because he tied in the federal government and the major water district and had just nothing but false information. So we got to be aware of what we're reading, what we hear, and then we're put in a position where we're getting phone calls. People are irate and pissed because they think we're behind it and we have nothing to do with it. So that's something, just a thought for the future. I'm trying to learn. I've been studying it here while I'm sitting in the hospital. There's a big one in Arizona, but you cannot find out about the impacts. They don't talk about that. So we need to do our own research. So just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam CEO.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the board received correspondence, email dated May 21st from John Hodge regarding the Management Bakersfield Field Office notice of availability for final supplemental environmental impact statements for oil and gas leasing and development. The board received the May 2026 activity report from the Finance Department dated June 1st for upcoming events. The Kings County Veterans Service Office is hosting the Freedom Memorial Ceremony tomorrow, Wednesday, June 3rd at 9 a.m. here on campus in the courtyard in front of the flagpoles. Kings County Behavioral Health is hosting a partnership with Champions, the grand opening of Champions Recovery Outpatient Services this Thursday, June 4th at 10 a.m. in Avenel. Kings County Animal Services is hosting Adopt a Pet this Saturday, June 6th from 12 to 5 p.m. at its headquarters located in Hanford. Kings County Commission on Aging will be hosting the two upcoming free pancake breakfast and community events that were mentioned earlier. The first one will take place next Friday, June 12th in Armona from 9 to 12, and the second one will take place Wednesday, June 17th at the Corcoran Senior Center. For upcoming agenda items, the following agenda items are for June 9th. Administration has one on the Memoranda of Understanding for Master Crime, Cyber, and Pollution programs, and Assessor Clerk Recorder has two items on a transfer verification software program, agreement with CoFile Technologies for restoration and digital services. Fire has two items on some purchases. Public Works has some items, one on the Houston Avenue Cross Creek Bridge replacement project and approval of the agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And the recommended budget will come to your board on June 25th. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Madam Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For closed session today, the board will consider the following items. Item 1, conference with labor negotiators, all units. Item 2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, City of Avenel v. County of Kings. Item 3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, City of Avenel v. County of Kings. Item 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 3 cases. And item 5, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, consider initiation of litigation. And with that, I will turn it to you for public comment.
Do we have any public comments? All right, very good. So our next regularly scheduled meeting is going to be held on Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, same time, 9 o'clock. And we're going to adjourn now into closed session.